What's going on, guys? Welcome back to #AskGSM, episode 599 here today from May 20th, 2025. Alexis is here joining me today. Special guest. First time on the show in just mere weeks, but she's back here today to help me answer some questions. Circumstances are what they are, and she's here on the show for episode 599. Welcome to the show.
I lost power earlier today, so I wasn't able to work from home. I have my laptop in front of me, so that's why you're graced with my presence. And also, my birthday is tomorrow, so I thought it would be a little birthday gift to myself to force myself on the show.
It's her birthday eve here today, and we're going to be celebrating by answering some of your questions from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to send in those questions during the show if you are watching live. I would appreciate it. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. I'll get to the chat in just a little bit. But if you want to sign up for a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel membership, you could do so. Consider doing so by checking out the description box. You get your questions answered first and foremost here on the show before anyone else. Your comments and questions addressed the WrestleRant radio before anyone else as well. You get members-only live streams and so much more, including channel shout-outs, including channel member shout-outs, including Alexis Miss Maud Matthews sitting to my left here. Dillon DiGiacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve1 on the Instagram at Swerve1, WON on IG. Daniel Malcolm, letter I, letter M, quarter on X. I'm quarter on X. RJ Marceau, the king himself, at RJ_Marceau on the Twitter machine. John Ritland here on YouTube, Real Honesty with John Ritland. Richie as well here on YouTube, Red Planet Wrestling. And then last but certainly not least, Average Grunt, at the Average Grunt on X. Thank you to our channel members. I appreciate it. So like I said, for more information on the channel membership, be sure to check that out in the description box or click the join button if you're watching on a PC. I think that's about it. If you want to send in a question, to the show ahead of time, you could do so. Be sure to tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, be sure to drop a question on this very video after the video is over, of course. I'll include your question in next week's edition. You can also be sure to send in your question during the show in the chat. I'll address it at some point, and we'll get to it. So I think that's about it. We'll pull up the chat here in just a moment. I saw it. Johnny. So I guess for some reason, I don't know if this is a new thing on my end or if you guys are seeing it or it's a new YouTube thing. I'm not sure. There's like little numbers, like little crowns and stuff next to people's names. So Johnny was the first person to send in a chat before we went live here saying the Raw Tag Team Division, talking about the headline question of Triple H's worst booking decision so far. So I don't know if that means number one commenter, the third commenter, I don't know. But Johnny, thank you for sending in that comment. We'll address that a little bit later on as far as Triple H's worst booking decision since taking over WWE. Millennial Noob, what's going on, my man? He said, good morning, Graham. How are you doing on this Tuesday morning? I am doing well. Thanks for asking. Dillon asking, who's the bum next to you? I don't know.
Shut up.
It's a good question. He also said, did you hear about the Weeknd's the Weeknd's movie this past weekend and how dog shit it is? It has 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I did hear negative things before I saw it come out, and then I saw a clip of it when it came out over the weekend, and it just looked fucking. It looked not good. So, was that the movie that he ended up seeing over the weekend, or no? Remember he said he was seeing a movie?
No. Oh, no, it was Final Destination.
Oh, interesting. It was probably better than whatever that Weeknd's movie is. I did hear about that. No L said thoughts on Zoe Stark's leg injury last night. It was gross.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in the moment, but I saw it after the fact, and it was not good. So here's wishing her the best, but she's going to be out for a long time though. She definitely Psycho Sided herself with that one. Grunt joining us as well, saying, hey guys, Grunt, what's going on, my man? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. RJ said, so negative. I don't know what you're talking about, but you also did say, let's see here, better be a better BF, be more involved. What did I say? What did I say that would indicate otherwise?
I don't know.
I have no idea what he's saying.
My birthday's something like that?
I don't know. A lot of these, if I address the questions, if I address the comments after the fact.
Dillon gave Final Destination 4 stars. I forgot to tell you that he liked it.
4 stars out of 5 stars. He must have really liked the movie. I did hear good things about that movie. So that makes sense. Anyway, if you want to send in a question in the chat, be sure to do so. I'm going to go back and answer some of the questions in the document first before I get to the chat. So be sure to send those on in if you have any questions. Jordan B. sending in the first question from YouTube. He said a couple days ago, in 2010, The Miz and Chris Jericho had a short feud with Tyson Kidd and David Hart Smith at Over the Limit for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. After they lost, they went their separate ways. Some part of me wishes they had stayed a tag team a little bit longer. What about you? It's funny you ask me that because I actually asked that same question. I called Chris Jericho's podcast. I'm actually in Talk as Jericho canon. I've actually been on the podcast before, albeit not as a guest, but as a caller. He did call-ins like when he first started doing the podcast back in 2014, 2013. And I called in to ask him that very question, and people were asking like much more elaborate questions or much more interesting questions that people probably wanted the answer more to than that. But I was most curious about that as well because I had been watching the product during that point. I really liked the idea of Miz teaming with Chris Jericho, and I thought they had great chemistry. But what he had said to me as to why they had done it only so shortly was that they kind of needed just a placeholder match, a placeholder program to get Miz and Jericho through that next pay-per-view. Jericho had just come off teaming with the Big Show. Actually, both guys had just coming off teaming with the Big Show. Show Miz was a thing. Jericho was a thing. Big Show went off to SmackDown as a babyface. That left Jericho and Miz on the Raw brand with nothing to do. I think Jericho had just got drafted to Raw. Miz, I think, had just lost the United States Championship. I thought they had great chemistry as partners, though. I kind of did wish that had lasted longer than it did, but then Miz went on to win the Money in the Bank that summer. He was also in the midst of the Hart Dynasty, which is who they faced at Over the Limit pay-per-view for the tag team titles. They had I think they had just won the championships from Show Miz. So they were not going to drop them within a month to Jericho and Miz. But yeah, that was their way of just getting them through the next pay-per-view. But I do wish they had continued teaming because I thought Miz and Jericho as teammates had very good chemistry. Kadeem G from YouTube, he had a question here. Do you think Julia's main roster call-up came too soon? I did see her appearance on SmackDown this past Friday. And I asked, what's the point? She was paired with Roxanne Perez on Raw a few weeks back, only to split up on last Monday, after losing to Io and Rhea in a tag team match. And now she's a new member of the SmackDown roster. Made zero sense. She just doesn't fit with the likes of Naomi, Jade, Charlotte, Tiffany, Nia, and others. I think SmackDown's women's roster is now underrated and stacked with stars, while Raw has a Rhea Ripley problem. I love Rhea and nothing against her, but the division is struggling to get new heels in order for Io to face tougher opponents. Julia would have been a great fit for Raw, but you have zero heels outside of Liv and Raquel. That's not entirely true. They have Roxanne now, who is a heel. I believe is supposed to be a heel. But anyway, do you want to answer this question first? Thoughts on Julia? I mean, there's a lot in there, but thoughts on Julia's main roster call-up. Was it too soon? And if she would have been a better fit on Raw, with Raw kind of lacking heels at the moment.
I think, I don't know if it was too soon because I don't know much about her before she came to the company, so I don't know if she's a really seasoned wrestler. Is she? She is,
Julia?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I feel like I could see why it is. I thought the same thing, but also, if she's so great, and she is, then why not call her up in a short amount of time? I mean, it is a short amount of time to be on NXT, but not everyone has to be on there for this really long amount of time. Some of those other people, Tony D'Angelo being one of them. So I think it could go either way, but also I think she sounds good on SmackDown. But when you said she just doesn't fit with the likes of, and then named all these other people, I feel like that's exactly why she would fit on SmackDown, because they don't have anyone like her on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Was Asuka on Raw?
What do you mean? Before she got hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on Raw.
Yeah, I feel like they have Asuka. Well, they had Dakota.
I mean, Asuka can go anywhere at this point.
She could go anywhere, but I'm saying Julia is kind of a newer, refurbished version, more technical version of Asuka, with a different aesthetic, kind of. So I feel like she is fine to go on SmackDown. I mean, I didn't really think about the heel problem on Raw because I just I'm not sitting there thinking about. I'm not paying attention to that on a daily basis, but I could see why she would fit better on Raw, and it is a little confusing that they would, have her on Raw for like what, 3 weeks and then she goes to SmackDown. But they're trying to like figure out where she fits. Like I feel like they're kind of scrambling a little bit because they're really trying to make sure that she fits well, and they're not just gonna plug her in somewhere and then she flounders and then they just screwed themselves. So I think it's just a big figure it out game right now. But I think she's a decent fit on SmackDown for now because she stands out so much.
Yeah, and I also just remember too, Raw does have another heel in Becky Lynch. I mean, we totally forgot about Becky as well. Liv, Raquel, Roxanne, Becky, so I think they're fine. SmackDown, it does feel like they have better depth within their women's division, because before Monday's Raw, it looked like we were headed to Io and Rhea again, which is definitely where they're headed, inevitably, which is why I hope Rhea Ripley does not win the Money in the Bank briefcase. We talked a lot about Rhea on the show last week as far as the Rhea Ripley problem on Raw right now, the booking and how she's overexposed in the title picture, all of which I agree with. I won't really get into it here. I don't really need to. We already discussed it last week. But, yeah, no, I think Julia's fine on SmackDown. I think if they find the right role for her on the show, then I'm totally content. They may not just have had any plans for her on Raw, because it seems like on Raw right now they introduced Roxanne into the whole Judgment Day drama, with her feuding potentially with Liv Morgan when she comes back. And, she's not a member of Judgment Day as Roxanne, but she's kind of like an ally according to Finn Balor, blah, blah, blah. So they seemingly have a plan with her for that, on the Raw brand. Julia, I don't really know where else she would have fit in, because it looks like Lyra and Becky are currently tied up for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And then Io and Julia would have made sense, but like I said, they're probably headed to Io and Rhea inevitably in the, on the sooner side. So if they put Julia potentially in Money in the Bank, she has a qualifier this coming Friday with Zelina and with Charlotte. I do think there's a pretty high chance Charlotte is the one who qualifies, unfortunately, but there could also be a scenario where Julia qualifies maybe by pinning Zelina Vega and then earns her a future opportunity at that Women's United States Championship. So she might not win Money in the Bank, but she has a program coming out of that show with Zelina for the United States Championship. And I know Zelina just won the title a couple of weeks ago, but she doesn't have to hold the championship for 3-4 months. She could be champion for a month or two and then lose it quickly to Julia. So, yeah, I think Julia has been a fine fit on SmackDown. I mean, she's only been there for a fucking week. She hasn't done anything. But I do think she's a fine fit on SmackDown, and she'll end up, adapting to the Blue brand pretty well.
I just thought of something when you brought up the Judgment Day. If Becky, Raquel, Liv, and, Roxanne are, the only main heel women they have, 3 of them are involved in the Judgment Day stuff. I do think that's a little uneven, the way that they have stuff spread out. Don't you think that Roxanne shouldn't really, I'm not saying she's gonna join the Judgment Day, but she's involved in the storyline right now, so they have all of their eggs in that one basket, and then Becky's just over there.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they have a plan for them, I really don't care. I mean, they had Zoe Stark and she got hurt, but Zoe wasn't really on the show anyway. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, they have other baby faces, but just none of them are really over. No one really cares. There's Maxine Dupree, there's Natalia. I mean, you're not really going to do much with them at this point.
She's not lighting the world on fire in WWE.
You're not putting them in prominent storylines in the show, from what I can imagine, from in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, you could better balance it out, but I think for right now it's fine. As long as Roxanne is on the show consistently, which she has been. She has to win more matches, and thankfully she won on Monday, which was a step in the right direction after she had not won a match in fucking months, I believe, in WWE TV. So, step in the right direction. At least she has direction for right now, which is good. We'll go through these 2 questions, and I'll go back to the chat in a moment. Micah does it from YouTube. His first question was, do you think Chelsea Green will ever become WWE Women's Champion? My answer has always been no. I didn't think she would, but I do think there's a better chance of it now that she's gotten herself over and she's on the show every week. I mean, she failed to qualify for Money in the Bank on Friday. So, she's not going to be in Money in the Bank a lot like she was last year. Do I think she will? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, honestly, I think she will. Not because I think, I think she's a better fit for the mid-card stuff, but she's already done the tag title stuff. She's done the mid-card title stuff. I think there's going to come a point where they're going to try her out at that level as the WWE Women's Champion. She doesn't have to be champion for long, and she doesn't even really scream to me as someone who should be at that level permanently. They just have far better women than her in the ring and whatnot, so I would say probably not anytime soon, because they have Tiffany, they have Jade, they have Nia, all these other women on SmackDown and on Raw that are better than Chelsea is in the ring. But something Chelsea has that they don't is that she's also not those women specifically, but a lot of the other remainder of the roster is that she's over. She's competent enough in the ring. She's also a good talker and a good character. So yeah, no, I think it's honestly likely. I think maybe not imminently, but down the road, you can't keep putting the United States Championship on her. So at some point down the road, I think she might be a fine fit for that role. What about you? Do you think Chelsea Green will ever become WWE Women's Champion?
I hope so. I think so. I feel like it's gonna take time, but yeah, and I think she should because she has personality, and I like how they give her time to talk. They give her time to bring that out, and I feel like they should keep doing more of that. I think that's good stuff from her.
What are the top 3 worst booking decisions of Triple H? Micah also asked. Since he has taken over creative, and what grade would you give his booking since 2020? So 2 names I wrote down here, Karrion Kross and Austin Theory. I think of the 2, and we were discussing this last night, the biggest blunder of those 2, if you had to put those 2 side by side, who has been the bigger botch for WWE? To me, it's Austin Theory. Just because Karrion Kross, they would have had to and still need to build him up to a meaningful level, even in the mid-card. But Theory's been in the mid-card. The thing with Theory is that he's done the tag team stuff. He's done the mid-card stuff. They had him at a level where he could have just maybe not cashed in successfully the Money in the Bank because Roman Reigns was champion at that point and he probably wasn't going to win the World Championship. The timing just didn't work out. If Vince was in charge, I'm curious what they would have done with that. Because Roman was dual champion at that point. It's not even like they had the World Heavyweight Championship, although he did tease cashing in the fucking NXT title, which was stupid. He ultimately cashed in on the United States Championship, which was dumb enough, and then he failed to win that. And that was bad enough, and then they kind of rebuilt him a little bit. I thought the early few months of his United States Championship run, the second time, were solid. And then he lost to John Cena, and really, it wasn't even... I'm sorry, he beat John Cena, but he lost to John Cena in a war of words on Raw before that, and that was really what did him in. And that was kind of the company's fault in putting him in that position, and Cena's fault, and Theory also for not really rising to that occasion. But the aftermath was awful, and he never really rebounded. He never really rebounded after that. So, Theory to me is Triple H's biggest, blunder of this creative regime. Worst booking decision. They definitely have to do a better job with that. Karrion Kross, is currently, as far as they're not really capitalizing on his momentum. So I've kind of said, before, they should be doing more with him, especially with the groundswell of support that he's gotten through the stuff he's done online. The fact they're not doing more with him is definitely disappointing. Trying to think of other instances. Cody losing at WrestleMania 39 was a big one, but they kind of redeemed that with a Mania 40 win, so I won't say that, although I thought the execution of that finish was terrible, with Solo coming back and interfering. That was just dumb. On that same show, though, I will say this, and not even with this feud, but also again later on when he feuded with Seth Rollins over the World Heavyweight Championship, Finn Balor. Finn Balor probably would not have been a main eventer even under Triple H's regime at this point because he's just older now and they have people that are more interesting, exciting, better booked, whatever. The damage is kind of done there. But during the Edge feud, he did beat Edge. I think a lot of people forget about that. He beat him in like an I Quit match or something at Extreme Rules. We were there for that. But they had the rematch at WrestleMania, and Finn was the demon, which kind of made it slightly more interesting. And he fucking lost. They just made him look like a loser. So in the aftermath, the worst part about that was that they had Edge win and then nothing. It's not as if they had Edge win because, it did make sense for the story, although he already pinned Balor, I think, in a mixed tag team match the week or the month before at Elimination Chamber, a month or two before that. So they had already had Edge get his, kind of big win, give Balor his comeuppance type thing. They didn't really have to have Edge beat Balor again. And not only did he beat Balor, he beat the Demon. The Demon was already dead after he lost to Roman Reigns and had that fucking seizure or whatever it was on pay-per-view a few years ago. That was terrible, but they kind of just buried him 6 feet under. That was the final nail in the coffin of the Demon in WWE. when he lost to Edge inside Hell in the Cell at WrestleMania 39. So, him losing that match was very dumb. Edge could have very easily lost that match. I think he wanted to, and he didn't. And like I said, the worst part about it was not as if, Edge winning made sense for the story, but it wasn't as if he went on a challenge for the World Championship after that, or get this big title run, or was set up for this other big feud. He literally went on to lose, or not even lose. I think he lost a lot of his matches after that. Edge left the company within months. I mean, he was gone from WWE by July or August. He had his final match, and he was gone from the company in September. So he beat Balor really for no reason. Balor was the one there challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship in the months that Edge was kind of winding down and leaving. He never competed on another pay-per-view after that, did Edge. So that was pretty dumb. Those would probably be the top three. And you can also criticize, certain ways that he's dragged things out, the long-term booking and dropping certain storylines, like Roxanne and Bayley recently was kind of dumb. That was more of a recent issue. The long-term storytelling, which in certain circumstances works, but like waiting fucking 10 years to break up Theory and Waller, like at this point, who gives a shit, Stuff like that is kind of a critique of Triple H's booking. Still way better than Vince's. I think we could say that much. It's never been bad enough to the point where anyone should say with a straight face that Vince McMahon would be a better booker today than Triple H. I mean, don't kid yourself. But I mean, those are the ones that come. Those are the ones that come to mind. I'll try to think of more, but those are the main ones. Top three worst booking decisions in your opinion of Triple H that come to mind.
I'm surprised you didn't mention this. I mean, all of the stuff that you said is definitely at the top of my list, but this is other stuff that maybe even just honorable mentions. But the Hurt Business, not either bringing him back.
That's probably the top three, yeah.
Yeah,
Bobby Lashley in general, really, but yeah.
Right, exactly. Just Bobby Lashley as a whole, but also the Hurt Business, not bringing, basically refusing to put them back together and not, doing right by the storyline. Bobby Lashley as a whole. There was another one I was just gonna say. Oh, Sheamus. I know Vince wasn't booking him as, like a perfect superstar, but Sheamus, was he hurt or something? Why?
What?
Where was he until
When?
Recently? Ever? On the show?
Ever? I mean, that's an accurate.
No, on the show recently. Where was he?
He was off the show. They didn't have anything for him to do, so he wasn't at WrestleMania. That was a 3-month stretch. Before that, he was challenging for the Intercontinental Championship. He was
and
on
never
Raw.
won. They still haven't have him win.
Okay,
over
but
the
he
past
re-signed
couple
for
years.
5 years. I mean, he could still win at some point.
Yeah, they re-signed him, but they've done nothing with him. They've done nothing of value with him as of lately. They've had him gone on the show for a couple months. He still hasn't won the title, and they've just used it as a little fun fact. He's never won the title. Just give him the fucking title already. They've fucked up his music 3 different times. I just think they've done him dirty multiple times. And obviously, as I've already said, the women's division is getting better. But they could absolutely be doing more. I do have a question. When did...
The women's tag division should be in the garbage,
yes,
by the way. He brought the belts back.
100%.
He brought the belts back after they were kind of slowly retired when Sasha and Naomi walked out, and then they brought them back and have done jack shit with them. So, not a booking decision, but something that's worth mentioning.
I think one of his biggest problems is he does drag things out. Like you've said, there's certain instances where that makes sense to do, but not every single time. And he does that a lot with feuds. And I think another thing that he does is if there's something good, he will keep that going and make it one of the only things that's on the show, or it's so obvious that he's putting most of his time and effort into that one good thing, i.e. the bloodline, or anything related to the bloodline, and he'll neglect other stuff like the tag division or stuff like that. Another thing that I've noticed that it's more so just the fact that I'm a fan of this person, and they're not lighting the world on fire. Johnny Gargano, poor Johnny Gargano got the short end of the stick ever since he's come up to the main roster. I know he's in the tag division and stuff with Ciampa, but I don't know, maybe he doesn't connect with the crowd, the main roster crowd. I think that's the case with a lot of people that were good in other points of their career. But Johnny Gargano to me is a little mini honorable mention. But yeah, I would just say those things and some of his creative decisions. The music needs to stop. One of his biggest booking blunders is keeping Def Rebel around. They're getting a little bit better, but I don't know. They got to do something with them.
Yeah, I would say the tag team division in general, not really recently on SmackDown. I think they've done a better job of that. But the better part of the tag team division for the last 3 years since he took over, I would say, has been among it. Like, he doesn't really prioritize tag team wrestling, for the women especially, but definitely for the men as well. Like I said, SmackDown's been better the last 6 months. They've had a lot of great teams and some great matches, some good programs, good stories, whatever. But it's like night and day with Raw. Like, the Raw tag titles aren't really defended on pay-per-view. They were at WrestleMania, but before that, they had not been defended on pay-per-view, to my knowledge, since Mania last year. And I was in favor of them splitting the titles back up just because they have a lot of teams, but they haven't really done much of note with those Raw tag teams, and they just aren't really on the show. Failing to capitalize on the momentum that the New Day had as heels, coming off their big betrayal of Big E a few months ago, has been pretty disappointing. Again, these aren't booking decisions. They're more so like things that it's actually things that he should have booked and did not. The New Day are fine. Like, now they're the new World Tag Team Champions, but at this point they feel like just another team, whereas coming out of that Big E betrayal back in December, they were one of the hottest acts going. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can point to, a lot of things that have bothered people about the Triple H era. Again, still better, far better overall than the Vince McMahon regime towards the end there. And again, you can also point to like higher ticket sales and stuff like that, but that's not really a booking decision. That's just more of a company thing. We're talking Triple H booking stuff here. Those would be the first things that come to mind. I mean, I would also include in that the Wyatt Six. But I mean, one of them got hurt, and there's been an injury issue there. But at the same time, like, they wanted Alexa Bliss to come back and do that, and then she disappeared. I mean, but that's also falls on the company. There's like 5 or 6 fucking members of this group. You can have the other people in the group on the show. For a group that had so much buzz that they built up for a few months there on WWE television through vignettes coming out of WrestleMania, they wanted to do absolutely nothing with them. I mean, they did initially, like when they first feuded with Gable and then the Final Testament, but as soon as they lost the Final Testament, that was their Final Testament. They have not been seen or heard from since on WWE television. They were transitioned over to SmackDown, but beyond that, they really have not been on the show at all. So they have to do a better job with that, but you know, that's definitely a blunder on Triple H's part. Any other ones come to mind?
Montez Ford. Big missed opportunity with everything that man has done, especially in the TLC match. But like time and time again, he continues to prove himself. And what happens? Like, the crowd cheers, he gets a big reaction, and then nothing happens. Like, that is a huge missed opportunity on his part, on Triple H's part.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely should have broken him away from Angelo Dawkins by now. And the thing is that they gave him an opportunity, Triple H did, inside Elimination Chamber, and then proceeded to not follow up on that at all. And the Profits are a great team, but you can have them team while also having Ford shine as a single star. You don't have to necessarily break them up. And they just haven't really further explored that at all. Like, he hasn't been in Money in the Bank. They're tag team champions now, thankfully, but again,
that's like over and done with. Like, he's done that before. Like,
not recently, but I mean, they should have gotten
But
them.
still.
They should have gotten them as tag team champions sooner than now. So we could have gotten to the point where he could have been a single star at this point.
That's true, but I mean, he should have already been like a Money in the Bank winner at this point, in my eyes. Like, it's incredible what he can do, and how he just gets the crowd on his side, and for some reason it's like Karrion Kross too. Karrion Kross is getting the crowd on his side right now, and he's gotten like, what, 5 seconds of like genuine TV time in the past couple weeks. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it feels like they know what they're doing sometimes when they give people opportunities like that, and then they just act like it never happened.
Yeah, they need to do a better job of that. He's great, and by the point they finally break them up or separate them or whatever, they're going to say that he's aged out, and that's really their own fault for not capitalizing on that sooner. So, yeah, I would put him in that category too. I will throw out the chat. I got a lot of people in the chat. So I'll go through the chat now. Damn, a lot of people in the chat. I'm gonna zip up a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh man, I have to scroll up a lot. Appreciate all the activity in the chat. If you guys are here, like I said earlier, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you guys have by now, obviously, but be sure to like the video. It does help out the videos. So I'm going to scroll through all the questions and comments that you guys left in the chat while we were talking. I'll go back to the other scheduled questions in a little bit, but I'll go through these comments first. Dillon said, yeah, fine. Oh, you know, yeah. RJ said, didn't know what movie. Oh, that's why he said be a better BF, more involved.
Yeah, I know. He texted us.
No, RJ. She didn't go to the movie. He's asking, he's assuming that I didn't know what movie that you went to. How could I not know what movie that you went to? Be more involved. She didn't go to the movie. Dillon went to the movie.
I know. He texted us. I texted him back.
Yes. Alexis last week, which is what I said here on the show. Alexis went to Clown in the Cornfield with Dillon. And she was telling me about that. That movie I know that she went to. She did not see the Final Destination movie or...
Nor should I.
The Weekend movie, whatever. Dillon said a lot of low-budget actors in it. Talking about the Weekend movie. I mean, yeah, that movie had... At the same time, it has the Weekend in it, and Jenna Ortega was a pretty well-known actor.
Yeah, and also, though, I kind of like that. Like, I like when they do people that I don't know, because it just makes for a more original experience.
Yeah. Grunt said, apologies for not sending in my questions ahead of time. Again, had a busy weekend, Ren Fair, and watched the Netflix Daredevil show for the first time.
You did?
So 2 things, or 3 things. First of all, Grunt, no worries. If you have any questions, send them in the chat. We'll answer them now at some point. When I get through all these comments, we will look at your questions and answer them. Second thing, you're actually going to a Renaissance fair at some point, so that is...
Yeah, it's ironic
fitting.
you mentioned that, because me and my coworker are, like, texting back and forth about going to one. We were going to go to one in, like, about a month-ish, but we're actually going to go, like, later in the summer. We're probably going to go to one in August, like a bigger one. But I've always wanted to go, so I'm very jealous.
Then the Netflix Daredevil show was... great. We just finished it actually earlier this year. We watched the Disney Plus one. We finished that one recently. So excellent show. Let me know what you think. I think the 3rd season is probably the best. But also while you're at it, I can't stress enough, if you're watching Daredevil on Netflix, the show, not the movie, which is terrible, but you could watch that movie too if you want with Ben Affleck. Make sure you watch the Punisher show as well.
Yes.
Also on it was on Netflix. Now it's on Disney Plus. But watch the Punisher show as well. No L, thank you for joining us. They said, I've seen a lot of bad celebrity acting over the years, but Jesus, the Weeknd acting horribly from that one clip I saw online. Did you see the clip, or did I know I told you about it.
I did not actually.
Okay, yeah, that acting was questionable. Very weird that she's like, Jenna Ortega's like chaotically dancing to his own song, and I think he plays himself. It's very strange. Emmanuel, what's going on, my man? Hope you're doing well. He said hello. RJ said, Raw doesn't need Julia. They do need to nix the triple threat qualifying matches. Lazy booking. Brother, I could not fucking tell you how many triple threat matches I have seen on WWE television in the last fucking 3 years under Triple H. Triple H is the master of triple threats, and I'm not saying wrestling in them. He loves to book triple threats. I mean, it could be Money in the Bank. It could be tournaments for championships. Number 1 contenders matches, championship matches. He fucking loves triple threats. And triple threats are great. And it's because I think they do triple threats because they have so many women. The problem is, I hate that Zoe Stark got hurt. But why was Zoe Stark even in a qualifier to begin with? I mean, Rhea and Kairi Sane on paper doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And the crowd was quiet for it because they're 2 baby faces. Zoe was going to eat the pin. Let's be honest. She was only in there to eat the pin before she got hurt. But she hasn't been on TV. Kairi hasn't either, mind you. But Zoe's been in Money in the Bank before, and that might be the argument. Oh, that's why she should qualify. She was in it last year. She was in it 2 years ago. Does anyone honestly give a fuck about Zoe being in Money in the Bank? And all due respect, she just got hurt. But she was never going to win the qualifier, let alone the briefcase itself.
Damn, what if she's listening? That's so brutal.
I mean, it's true, though. I just don't really think you needed her in a qualifier. And again, they do that so they could have faces and heels. They want to give, in storyline, as many people an opportunity to qualify as possible. But a lot of these women are not going to be, like Natalya also has not been on the show until recently. Why wasn't, I mean, I know why, but they could have realistically just done Becky and Roxanne one-on-one. You didn't do that because you don't want Becky to get pinned, and it's heel versus heel. But figure that shit out. You know what I mean? To even put these women in qualifiers when they haven't even been on the show and have done nothing to earn that opportunity to even be in a qualifier is why we get triple threats, because, oh, this person can't get pinned, and, oh, we need as many women as possible. You really don't. You really don't need everyone in the qualifier. Dillon said, I'd say a bad booking decision from Triple H was the bloodline after Mania 40 up to present time. The Tongans don't have a place I feel in Solo belongs on LFG. I mean, the bloodline to me was fine post WrestleMania last year. It obviously wasn't the same bloodline from when Roman Reigns was in charge of it. The booking could have been better for sure. I thought it was fine. I gave us Jacob Fatu, so I can't complain about that. Fernando saying, Buenos Dias, WrestleRant. Buenos Dias to you as well, Fernando. Dillon said, bringing in Jacob Fatu and Cobb was good, though. Yeah, I just mentioned that as well, but yeah. Yep, bringing in Fatu and Cobb was great. Richie said, the dynamic duo are back.
Woo!
What's up, chat? Richie, what's going on, brother? I hope you're doing well.
Hi, Richie.
Thanks for joining per usual. Johnny also joining, saying, sorry, I'm late. It's okay, Johnny. Hope you're doing well. Mr. Marceau saying, let's see, Roxanne is the wedge between Dom, Liv, and Finn. That's what I was thinking, too. I think they're going to use Roxanne. The thing is, what's the end game? Are we turning Roxanne babyface? Are we turning Finn and Roxanne babyface? Dom and Liv babyface? Does anyone have to turn babyface? I mean, I don't know, but at least she has direction, which is more I can say for her than most of the Raw women's roster and even on SmackDown as well.
True.
Millennial Noob said, like turn Asuka or Kairi saying heel on Io for neglecting damage control and teaming up with Rhea. That's a great idea. I think that would actually make a whole lot of sense. I mean, Asuka first has to return, and I don't know if she's imminently coming back, or I'm not sure what her status is. I don't know if they have creative for her or what. But no, Asuka coming back and turning on Io for neglecting damage control and whatever would be great. Kairi, same thing. Kairi and Io would be a great feud. They would just have to build it up a little bit more. Instead, they bring back Kairi randomly in a Money in the Bank qualifier, and she gets pinned because Zoe got hurt. So that's just not great. Fernando said, I prefer a Judgment Day breakup over, or instead of adding members.
I agree.
They've been, at this point, it's time to move on from it. I mean, they're not adding members, to be fair. She's just an ally. It's hopefully to escalate the breakup of Judgment Day. Because if they see that Finn is trying to add more people that weren't welcomed in by Liv herself, who's kind of the self-proclaimed leader of the group, maybe that will, speed up the process as far as breaking up the group. Emmanuel said, tangentially related. I don't know how you pronounce that word. I know the word. I can't pronounce it.
I don't know that word, actually.
It's somewhat related is what he means. But anyway, he said, do you have the WWE 2K25 DLC? I do. I had the recent DLC. It was Motor City Machine Gun, Stephanie, and Julia. And I think someone else, like a basketball. Wasn't it like a celebrity? Was it Tyrese Halliburton, or was that for... I think that was for the Duncan Destruction pack. So the other player that they were introducing as part of this recent DLC pack hasn't been announced yet. But they released the other ones? I don't really know. But yes, I do have the DLC. Downloaded it last week. No L said, let's be honest, the Charlotte need Money in the Bank. She can use she could just use her Charlotte in the Bank cash, and yes, that is correct.
That made me laugh.
That is definitely true.
That's really funny.
She does not need, you're absolutely right. She definitely does not need Money in the Bank.
No, please do not
She can just cash in her Charlotte in the Bank, and she has a title shot.
And she can sing, what's that Cher song?
What?
I don't know, just any Cher song.
No idea what you're talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, she did win the Rumble to earn the shot at Mania, so at least that wasn't just given to her. Chelsea Green, Fernando says, should have won Money in the Bank. She deserved it more than Alexa Bliss, in my opinion. Oh, the qualifier. She was just United States champion. Alexa Bliss has been gone for a while. But Bliss is way over. Chelsea, not that she's not over, but Bliss is a star. She's won the briefcase before, which is why she shouldn't win it. I don't think. It doesn't make sense for her to anyway. But that's the reason why they put Bliss in it. She just came back. Chelsea should also be in the match, but the problem is they only have 6 spots. They don't do 8-person Money in the Banks anymore. They only have 6 spots. So if you have 6 spots, Naomi's got to be in there. Jade, I would assume, might be in there. Julia could qualify. Charlotte could go in there. All of those people trump Alexa Bliss. Now, I'm sorry, not Alexa Bliss, Chelsea. You could argue Chelsea needs it more than them, which is true, but if they want it to be star-studded, they're going to put those women in there over her, especially if Chelsea's not going to win. Daniel joining us. Daniel, what's going on, my man? Salute to you as well. John Ritlin also joining us.
John!
Fellow channel member. John, what's going on, brother? He said Triple H has had good ideas going back to taking over NXT a decade or so ago. But many of those ideas were just based on old territory angles with men and women who were stars on the indies. Not necessarily wrong as far as stealing ideas. I mean, to be fair, Sean, who's also a good booker in NXT, not an amazing booker, but good enough, he uses a lot of his own storylines in NXT. He has been repeating a lot of his own angles for a very long time now. So, yeah, I mean, that's hardly anything new. But at least, I mean, yeah, he is repeating a lot of it. I mean, it's kind of hard to kind of come up with new stuff, to be fair. A lot of storylines, a lot of bookers reuse old storylines from years ago. If it works, it works. I really can't complain about that. But, you know, there's not a whole lot of original ideas left in wrestling when everything feels like it's kind of been done at this point. But if you can do it well, even if he repeats it from years ago, if he can do it well, then it's kind of hard to complain, at least in my opinion. Johnny said, Alexis, who are women that you would want to see in Stadium Stampede? Well, that's a trick question because she doesn't want to see Stadium Stampede anyway.
No, that's Anarchy in the Arena.
Okay, well, Stadium Stampede was then, that was the first one they did. Remember during COVID?
Yeah, I actually liked that one.
Okay, that was better, yeah.
That was the one that, in the AEW video game, you basically play Fortnite, right?
Yes.
Oh my god, so funny. I don't know. Probably, well, I mean, definitely, like, Rhea would be cool. I could see her doing, like, something really, really awesome, like, in terms of how she takes up that space. I could definitely see Io doing something insane. Or, like, Kyrie. That would be cool. Jade Cargill, I think that would also be cool. Like, her and Rhea can kind of scrap it off. Or, like, Nia Jax would be awesome, too. Yeah, I do like Stadium Stampede. Have they ever done one with women in AEW? No.
No, but Anarchy in the Arena will probably have Marina Shafir and Willow Nightingale involved. So
I'm good.
It's not a women's match, but they will probably be involved, like, officially in the match. So, yeah, if there's a women's feud that makes sense to do a Stadium Stampede or an Anarchy in the Arena, then do it. But they just don't prioritize women's war games. They've never done a women's war games in AEW. It's always been men's matches. And they have a better women's division now, but I think the closest they came was when they were doing the Outcasts thing with Saraya and Ruby Riott or Ruby Soho, whatever, and that whole thing, but they never really ended up having it lead to a blood and guts, and it kind of fizzled out, and it went nowhere, so they kind of missed the window on that one. Richie said, unrelated sort of, but Triple H beating Randy Orton, Booker T, and Chris Jericho at WrestleMania were terrible booking decisions, although not by him, maybe LOL. If we're talking about Triple H's entire career, then you're not wrong about that, Richie. As far as stuff since 2022, those technically wouldn't count. But as far as his overall career, you might be onto something. Johnny said Shinsuke's U.S. title reign. That's obviously another one that's not one of his biggest botches. But it's not as if he won the belt and then he botched the run. He should have never won the belt to fucking begin with. I mean, RJ and I said that in November. I mean, the guy he has a great entrance. I like Shinsuke, but it's still Shinsuke Nakamura in 2025, and they did absolutely as I expected them to. Did nothing with the guy as U.S. champion. It was no different than any other reign he has had as United States or Intercontinental champion. And if you are sitting there asking yourself, when else did Shinsuke Nakamura hold the Intercontinental or United States championships? You are proving my point. Because he has done absolutely nothing with any of those fucking titles, and the many times he has held them over the years. Maria, thank you for joining us, saying, I don't think Triple H likes Theory. He books him the way that Vince McMahon booked talent he didn't like. The weird thing is that, not weird really, because, you know, just because they hire these people doesn't mean they're high on them. But Austin Theory was in NXT first. Like, it's not like he wasn't an NXT guy. You know, like, you can make that case for, like, you know, Moss, who never really went through NXT. Theory did, albeit briefly, and then he went to the main roster, then got called back down to NXT. It was kind of confusing. But, like, he booked Theory in NXT. He must just not have ever seen him at a main event level. I mean, at this point, do I see Theory as a main eventer? No. Could he have been? Yeah, I mean, he could have won a one-shot. I mean, I always go back to it. I know they had different reasons for why they did it. But if people like Jack Swagger, Jinder Mahal, even Kofi, but Kofi just had a different connection with the crowd than Theory ever has. That's kind of the difference there. But like Jinder, Swagger, if those guys could win a world championship, so could Austin fucking Theory. But I feel like we're kind of past that at this point. Unless he gets fired or leaves and comes back. Unless he wins the TNA championship, I could see that. But as it stands, it's not going to happen, I don't think. Ara just said, do you think with Karrion, yes, he is now getting good reactions, but when Triple H was pushing him in NXT, people were anti-Cross. I don't think so. He was pro-Cross, and I don't even think the fans were anti-Cross. In my opinion, hindsight is 20/20. But I think fans only were anti-Cross in NXT, specifically after that Adam Cole promo. If you go back and YouTube it, where Adam Cole called him out as being an entrance, and then the bell rings, and then you're what? Just an entrance. That really, and Karrion's a good wrestler, but even at that point, there were kind of questions. His matches aren't really lighting the world on fire. Like, he had some decent matches, but the matches with Escobar and Damian Priest and Keith Lee, they weren't exactly great. The best part about him were his promos and his entrance. It wasn't really the matches. So Adam Cole wasn't wrong. It kind of exposed Karrion Kross for just being an entrance. And then people were like, yeah, you know what? This guy's kind of fucking boring. But it wasn't really a sudden thing. People at that point did have some skepticism or, criticism of Kross in that role. So it's not like it came out of nowhere. But a lot of people, to be fair, were pro-Kross when he was in NXT. He wasn't the most dynamic performer, but people dug the entrance. And a lot of people, as they should have, were pretty fucking pissed when he got called up and lost his first match in, and then was given a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shredder mask that looked like he was wearing some fucking BDSM outfit right before he got fired in 2021. So I mean, I don't think it's like, oh yeah, he's getting good reactions now, but like when he first came back in 2022, I wouldn't put that in Triple H. That was a Karrion Kross issue where they were giving him a more, I mean, he beat Drew McIntyre on pay-per-view. They were giving him a better push, and he wasn't really connecting. But I feel like he just needed more time and better creative. And now that he has put the tools together as far as connecting with the crowd and really getting over, they're not even putting him on television. How do you have a guy, not have him, because I think he did it on his own, but it was a work shoot. How do you, does a guy like him cut that promo on the post-WrestleMania Raw recap show and get that reaction that you do online and then not put him on Raw in any capacity after that?
It's so insulting.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's beyond insulting. To be that on the nose with it, and then even to go a step further, and I'm pretty sure they posted his entrance on Main Event, and it literally said, look at Karrion Kross's main event entrance, look at the crowd reaction, like, oh my god. Like,
I don't think they did that, but I think they did.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I don't think so. They did post on their YouTube channel, they posted the match, but I mean, they were doing that anyway. They have posted the WWE shop stuff. They said, oh yeah, we have Karrion Kross shirts out now, and they're selling them at Raw. Well, why sell the shirts if you're not even going to put them on the show? That just doesn't make sense to me. John said Triple H's formatting with Raw and SmackDown, like the takeovers with a small number of matches and a stretched out promos from the heights of Raw and SmackDown, has kind of gotten stale. They have done a great job of filling out these shows with a lot of nothing. Specifically SmackDown. Raw I don't really have that issue with. We get longer matches on Raw now, which is great. On SmackDown, they've done more of that recently, but the show being 3 hours is really a problem. The PLEs, I can also understand the frustration there, as far as there being a lot of, frustration with the way they pace the shows and whatnot. I can totally understand that. With Raw and SmackDown, it's really just SmackDown. Raw, I think, is fine. SmackDown, they just have to stretch for time. They do a lot of promos and recaps. That shit I just skip over. That's why I rarely watch the shows live unless I have to. Dillon said another bad booking choice is that there's too much Rhea.
Sorry, they did not.
Okay, there you go.
I'm hallucinating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about not too much Rhea. There's never, I'll say this, there's never such thing as too much Rhea. It's just that they're overexposing her in the title picture. But I can't say it's a bad booking decision because Rhea's so fucking over that it's not like it's, inherently a bad thing that she's on the show as much as she is. He also said, the blatant LA Knight disrespect is another bad booking choice. I mean, at least they capitalized on his popularity, gave him the United States Championship later than they should have, but they gave it to him. At this point, my issue with Knight's booking is that he should be on that next level. I mean, he's still super over, despite the fact that he loses more than he wins, it feels like nowadays. He still should be at the main event level, closer to the main event level than he currently is. He should win Money in the Bank. He's my pick as far as who I think should win. Do I think he will win? Absolutely fucking not. But that is, I mean, we can have that discussion a little bit further on in the year, later on in the year. As it stands right now, it's not like they've been booking him horribly, but his booking could be better. I agree with that. For how over he is, he should be higher up on the card than he currently is. Johnny said, my favorite world title reign of all time was Okada's reign from New Japan in 2016 to 2018. That was a good one. Noob said, the biggest flop was Damage Control. I thought the group was feuding with Becky Lynch, but instead they were feuding with Bianca Belair. Even the addition of Asuka and Kairi Sane made it a mess. Yeah, I mean, Damage Control's booking has not been great. Wasn't great. It's pretty much over at this point. But I mean, to be fair, I mean, they were all over the show. I mean, they were booked like stepping stones. But I don't know. I just feel like at the same time, the group just wasn't really, their chemistry was not great enough. I mean, maybe behind the scenes, but on the show, it wasn't it had the potential to be a much better faction. People were over Damage Control by like fucking November of the year that they debuted, and that was 3 months later. Like, they were just losers at that point. And they just continued to lose. I don't know, it just wasn't really a group, I think, that they gave them a shot and they were around for a long time. So it's not like WWE didn't try with them. Could they have tried harder with them? Sure. But it's not as if they broke them up within 3 months or they booked them, they were just this great faction that were getting great reactions that did nothing. They really weren't getting great reactions to begin with. They just didn't really click with people the same way that we thought it would. Emmanuel said, I heard people say that Shinsuke's U.S. title run was just for him to showed off the belt off at his appearances in Noah. Yeah, maybe, but he was also champion through March. His Noah's appearances were in January. So, I mean, that wouldn't really explain that for the entire time that he was champion. Richie said, Edge not winning some sort of title in his last run in WWE and the company just letting him jump ship was a choice. Yeah, I know you're a big Edge fan, Richie. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's among their top worst booking decisions. What I question about Edge is that after he beat Balor at Mania, the fact that they had no creative for someone that of Edge's caliber, that to me was a odd booking choice. That was strange to me because Edge is such a big star to not have anything for him to do. And they were like, yeah, well, it's probably best if you just leave and go to AEW. We just don't have anything for you right now. I mean, they weren't going to put the belt on him, which I understand. He didn't have to have a championship his last run there. I mean, that wasn't imperative, but it would have been nice. He's getting that now in AEW, which is cool, but better than nothing. I don't know. It just, it's not their worst booking decision, but it is questionable that they would not have had more to do. Would not have had more for him to do before he left the company in 2023. D Professor, what's going on, brother? He said, what's up, buddy? Doing well. Thank you for joining us, D Professor. Johnny said, let's see, your Roman video made me wish WWE would do a DVD box set of Roman Reigns' title matches during that reign. That would be a great idea. The issue is they don't do that sort of stuff anymore. Now it's not really about DVDs and box sets. Now it's about playlists and stuff like that. So they've done a playlist for all of Roman's title defenses. Not every match in full, but like every match that he had, they included. I mean, I watched the video. I remember they did it a few years ago, but they had a video on their channel where they did a playlist of every match, every title defense that he had as Universal Champion, and maybe a minute or two of each match. They put it all together. Yeah. And anyway, but on that note, check out my Roman Reigns title defenses ranked video from yesterday. A new edition of WrestleRant Ranks went up yesterday. Cheap plug. Ranking every title defense and the match in which he won the championship of Roman Reigns during his historic 1,316-day run as undisputed WWE Universal Champion. So check that out when you can. That went up yesterday. Long video, but I enjoyed putting that one together. Fernando asked, are the both of you watching Lilo and Stitch? Yes, we will be seeing it this weekend at some point. Richie said, if Vince was still in charge, he would book Roman Reigns to be Seth Rollins' third man for his group It wouldn't make any sense, but we'd be getting more Roman, and because it's Roman. Yeah, I could see Vince doing that if he was still in charge. Roman would probably still be champion right now. If Vince was still here, Roman would probably still be champion. He would want him to break the San Martino record of 7 years, 10 years, whatever the fuck it was. So, Roman probably would have never dropped the belt because we would have gotten Rock and Roman last year at Mania 40 if he was still in charge.
We would have gotten a rematch or something.
And then Roman would have beaten Rock to retain the championship, and then by the time Mania 41 came around, Cody probably would have won the World Championship by that point, not the WWE title, and they would have just been like, oh yeah, we have no one for Roman, so let's just keep the belt on him even longer. Yeah, Emmanuel mentioned, I think WWE actually discontinued DVD productions. Yeah, I think so. I don't think they produce any DVDs anymore of their pay-per-views or anything. Good thing I kept mine. Richie said, Sheamus keeps pitching the IC title win, but they keep ducking him, poor guy. And Richie said, preach, Alexis. Probably about Sheamus is what he's referring to.
Yeah, what the fuck? I don't even know. They keep doing that man so dirty, and it really upsets me. Like, just give him the title already.
Yeah, he'll be champion at some point. But I
at some point. But like, how many years has it been? Like, and they just keep it as a cute little quirk. Like, oh, like imagine being Sheamus. Like, oh, one of my defining qualities is that I'm not good enough to win this one title. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, stop.
He'll win it at some point. John said, but at least the Hurt Business are now a syndicate that hurts people, while talents like Jon Moxley, Jericho, and the Bucks hurt the ratings. Yeah, I mean, at least we are getting the Hurt Business now in AEW, so that is better than nothing. Moxley, Jericho, and the Bucks, at this point, it's impossible for me to care. Fernando said, justice for Sheamus. I agree. Johnny said, Triple H is the master of the slow burn. I mean, yeah, seriously, it's the slowest burn known to man. And Tony Khan is the master of the fast burn. That's not necessarily true.
No, Tony Khan was the original, like, let's drag it out for years or months.
Daniel Garcia. Emmanuel A. said, my guess is WWE sees Sheamus as a good hand to put newer people over at this point. You're right. They could still put the IC title on him. But it's not like they put over Theory and Waller, beat both of them on Raw the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, yeah, they do see him as a good hand to put newer people over, but at some point he still should be the Intercontinental Champion. John said, Sheamus coming back from the injuries and being closer to the end of his career than the beginning means he should be getting an IC title run. At this point, it couldn't hurt. Yeah, I mean, I know he re-signed for 5 years, but the guy had, spinal stenosis when he was out for about a year or so before he came back last year. Meaning that his career could end at any point. I mean, honestly, he could retire tomorrow, and if he does, it would have been without the IC championship. So, I mean, you can wait to do it for when it makes sense, but I wouldn't wait that long, is my point. Johnny said Johnny Wrestling was way better in NXT. He was. I mean, that goes without saying. But it was also just a different atmosphere, a different environment in NXT, different audience. He's not going to translate the same way to the main roster. But honestly, if Triple H was running WWE 5-10 years ago, Johnny Wrestling would have been on the main roster a lot sooner than he was. And at that point, he probably would have had a much better career. He could have been like the next Daniel Bryan.
Yes. Yeah.
But if he was called up when Vince was in charge, he would have been fucked. So he made the call to stay in NXT. And as a result of that, he's just where he is at right now, which is not a bad place to be. But he's also not the same star that he was in 2017, 2018, 2019, having some of the best matches in all of wrestling. Fernando said, what are your thoughts on the Jeff Cobb SmackDown debut in his new name? The debut, I didn't love. The match with LA Knight was very fucking boring. I thought it was cool he got to show off some offense down the stretch. He did the standing moonsault, which was cool. Tour of the Island, which is an awesome finisher. He always has had that finisher, of course, dating back to Lucha, New Japan, Ring of Honor, whatever. But the match itself being 15 minutes of them just doing fucking rest holds and stuff was very boring. Make it shorter, make it more competitive, make it more exciting, or save the match for another week. But maybe they couldn't do that because Knight was involved in Money in the Bank qualifier that he has to win next week or this coming Friday, so I'm not sure why they did what they did. The new name honestly doesn't bother me. I don't know why they didn't just call him Jeff Cobb, but it's not as if, to be fair, Jeff Cobb is a great name anyway. If you say that to someone, if you were to have them take a quiz, is this person's real name, or was it a name they got from a fucking name generator? It would probably be a name generator name. I mean, that sounds like a Vince McMahon name, except without the finisher, corn on the cob or something stupid like that. So, JC Mateo, it's still got the JC in there, and then Mateo sounds like Matanza, which is what his name was in Lucha Underground. So, someone pointed that out, and I'm thinking, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't hate the name, honestly. I think that's a kind of cool name. So, it's not like they gave him some stupid name. It's close enough. They could have just called him Jeff Cobb, but the fact they didn't doesn't really bother me. Grunt said, definitely a hot take with the SmackDown or the TakeOver-sized PLEs as far as the Triple H issues he's talking about. If they were brand exclusive, it would be one thing, but the fact that they got so many championships that they've been relegated to TV titles because they can't fit them into the smaller format is sad. And as we've seen, it's not a guarantee that they get on one of the big four pay-per-views, even when they're 2 nights. I like the smaller pay-per-views. They could probably afford to do 6 matches, not 5. I mean, I'm fine with 5, but if they want to do 6, I think that's the sweet spot. Anything more than that, they just don't have the time for. And matches get shortchanged anyway, and it can make the TV title matches mean more. As long as you shuffle them in and out, like we haven't really seen the tag titles defended on pay-per-view all that much, but that's just because they haven't really put effort in making those belts matter. That's kind of the difference there. Let's see. Grunt said, or John said, Gargano is a little / mini honorable mention. Oh, I see, but when I make short jokes, people come. I mean, he's talking about what you said.
I didn't call him short.
An honorable mention. But, you can't make those short jokes like John said. Anyway.
Hey, I'm short.
Johnny said, Vince didn't come out at the beginning of the PLEs and talk for 20 minutes like Triple H. I mean, Triple H doesn't always do that, but like when they do that at WrestleMania, I wouldn't be doing that. I mean, Triple H is on TV more than he probably should be. When they say welcome to WrestleMania, like personally, I don't really give a fuck about that. I wish they wouldn't do that. It's kind of a waste of time. But at least he's not doing that at Backlash and some of these other shows. Maybe he was during the international shows, which I would not have done. But, for every show that he's not doing that, thankfully. Emmanuel A. said, in regards to Def Rebel, in fairness, I don't know if Triple H is that responsible for music because I think TKO is more involved in that. They're apparently bringing Def Rebel in for UFC music now. I did hear about that.
Dumb.
I will say Triple H is high enough on the totem pole where if he had enough of an issue with it, he probably could orchestrate some sort of change. We have to also blame these people for when they're, we got to hold these people accountable for the things that we praise them for. They also have to be the same people that we shit on them for as well or criticize or whatever. And I think Triple H is I'm not saying he's in charge of Def Rebel, but if he really had an issue with the music, he could relay that to TKO or whoever, and they could orchestrate some sort of change there. And they just haven't done that because they just don't care. John said, I scrolled up the chat, and on the movie front, Final Destination Bloodlines is up there with the first one for quality. Well, that's saying something. Also, there's a new horror movie called Bring Her Back, and from the Talk to Me guys. Interesting.
I want to watch that. Talk to Me.
Yeah, I know that was on your list. Bring Her Back I have not heard of, but that's good to keep in mind. Richie said, 1 like equals 1 less Def Rebel theme. Yeah, like this video. Like this video, and you'll hopefully we get less Def Rebel bullshit. Fernando said, how is Clowns in the Cornfield?
It was okay. I don't know. It was okay. Like, I don't really even have any intense criticism. I mean, it felt like a satirical movie, but it also felt like it was trying to take itself seriously. The plot was very unique, I'll give it that, but I don't know, some of the writing felt like ChatGPT wrote the script. Just based on, like, I use ChatGPT, like, every day, almost, for, like, all kinds of things, so I know, like, the format of which an AI will spit out text or, like, write a story. It's very formulaic, obviously, because it's an AI, but it felt like that.
Dillon said Triple H chose Jey Uso over carrying Cross, LA Knight, and Montez. Let that sink in. I mean, Jey Uso's over. You could say what you want, but Jey Uso's incredibly over. So honestly, I would, if I was Triple H, I would also choose Jey Uso over Kerry and LA Knight and Montez. LA Knight is over, but Jey Uso is even more over than Knight was when he kind of capitalized on that push a few months ago. Johnny said, I can't wait to see Ballerina. I will also be seeing that. Oh, but you forgot to pronounce it, Johnny. I think it was you who said a week or two ago. It's called From the World of John Wick Ballerina.
Stop.
That's
I
what
hate
it's called.
that. It's so stupid. Just call it ballerina.
No, From the World of John Wick Ballerina.
That is beyond dumb.
I don't know what ballerina is. I only know what From the World of John Wick Ballerina is.
Oh, stop.
Emmanuel A said, I don't know if y'all mentioned it already, but has anyone seen Sinners? No, I've heard it was good. I'm probably not going to see it.
I want to watch it.
She wants to see it. I mean, you can go see it. I don't know. I really don't care that much, but I've heard it was a good movie. I'm not saying I don't want to see it because it's bad. It just doesn't really interest me personally. But I've heard it was, I have seen all the rave reviews. Maybe down the road I'll watch it. She'll probably see it before I do. John said, Hurry Up Tomorrow to me was trash. Ortega deserves better. Oh, was that the weekend movie? Clown in the Cornfield was a blast. I'm actually at 101 movies for 2025 so far. Holy shit, John. That's crazy.
Yeah, John, I know.
That's not that crazy because you were at like 300 something at the end of the year.
I know you gave it like what, fucking 5 stars. I gotta be honest. I love you. I don't trust your movie taste.
Wow.
I don't.
Leave John right alone.
I don't trust it. It's very up and down. I gotta admit, in some of those movies that you gave like fucking half a star or 1 star, I gave 5 stars or I gave 4 stars. So I don't know. I still love you though.
I do agree with you, Fernando. Ballerina does look dope. We're gonna be seeing that. Season 3 of Daredevil was the best, Johnny says. I would agree with that.
Yes.
I think it gets progressively better. I think season 1 is very good. Season 2 was great because they have Punisher in it, and then season 3 was the best one. Punisher was excellent. I would prefer Punisher over Daredevil, but even Daredevil's still a great show. You got to check out the new one on Disney Plus when you get a chance. Richie said in quotes, "Just shut up." Remember when Triple H said that? Just shut up and enjoy the show.
Ridiculous.
He said, "Bro thought he was Prince trying to make his own Purple Rain." That's funny. Johnny said, "Singers need to stick to music and stay away from acting, with a few exceptions." It depends who we're talking about.
I mean, Lady Gaga, anyone? Lady Gaga's excellent. Ariana Grande
Joker
is very
2 exists.
good. Yeah, we're not talking about that. I don't count that. In my head canon, I never saw that movie. I still hold that against him for forcing me to go see that dumb movie. Lady Gaga's excellent in American Horror Story. Ariana Grande, amazing character work in Wicked. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Zendaya's a singer. Zendaya, fantastic actress. It goes on and on and on.
Richie
Selena
says,
Gomez.
Weekend needs to pipe down and keep giving us Mania themes.
Yeah, I laughed at that.
Yeah, stick to what you're good at, buddy.
Yeah.
It's basically what Richie's saying. Fernando said Triple H is a Triple H fetish for some reason. I mean, no one's a bigger Triple H fan than Triple H. And Johnny also said Triple H loves the word triple. It's his favorite word. That's why they bought Why do you think they bought Triple A?
Whoa.
Emmanuel A said Shawn Michaels also loves you don't have to tell me. Shawn Michaels also loves multi-man matches. I think he even admitted he books a lot of them on NXT PLEs because he wants to showcase as many people as he can. Yes, I've heard him say that. I understand why he does it. It makes for a weaker show. When you have 2 PLEs back-to-back that have NXT title matches that are fucking triple threats, that being Vengeance Day with A-Town Down Under, and then another one with Javon Evans and Trick Williams, both involving Obafemi, which were 2 very good matches, it's fucking lazy. I'm sorry. You just can't book just to get everyone on the show. Either do longer shows, bigger cards, or just not everyone can make the show. Creatively, it does not make for a great show. Some fun matches, but it's just very lazy to me. Thankfully, Triple H was not doing a whole lot of that when he was running NXT years ago. John said Zoe was in the match because they were in Greenville, South Carolina, and she has a history in that city. Did you know that? She actually helped Jim Crockett Sr. establish his promotion in that and other cities back in the 1930s and 40s.
Shut the fuck up, John. Shut the fuck up. You literally had me in the first half. I was like, well, that doesn't matter that she's from there. I don't care.
It's because she helped Jim Crockett Sr. establish his promotion
Shut up, John.
in other cities back in the 30s and 40s. Meanwhile, this woman broke her leg and we're making fun of her.
Oh my god.
Fernando said,
dumb.
Prayer emoji to Zoe Starks. May she recover quickly and gets back soon. Wrestling Fan 13, what's going on, brother? He said, hey, Graham, it's been a minute. How have you been? I hope you're doing well, man. I have been doing well. Wrestling Fan 13, thank you for asking. Hope you're doing well. I've missed you here in the chats. Thank you for joining today. I hope you're doing well. And thanks for chatting in. Daniel said, funny how last week we agreed Jeff Cobb sounded like an FCW name and WWE proceeded to rename him LMAO. I think they watched the stream. I think Triple H is on his lunch break right now watching this video from last week, and he was thinking, man, that Jeff Cobb name, it sounds dumb. Let's rename him. I mean, I don't blame them. And also because I think if they rename him, he gets to keep the rights to Jeff Cobb. Now, I don't know about like Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. Tongaloa, they changed the spelling of. Tama Tonga is still the same name. So I don't know if they trademark that or if they're just letting him use it and they won't trademark it. I don't know what the deal is. Everyone's deal is different. There's no real rhyme or reason to these things. Central Man Network, do you think Judgment Day needs to be disbanded? Yes, we talked about that before. I mean, it's not like desperate, like, oh man, break up this group. Like, they're still dragging it out with Liv and, adding Liv and Raquel and, they've kind of added a new layer to the group. It's not the same Judgment Day that it was in 2022, 2023. I'll tell you that much. It's not the same dynamic at all. But it's not as if when I see the group, I think, oh man, get this fucking group off the show. They're terrible. Like, it's still interesting, and they're keeping it interesting, but we do need to get to the next chapter. Whether that be Dom booting Finn, or Finn leaving, or whatever that is, we need to get to that a little bit quicker. Johnny said Dom and Liv versus Finn and Roxanne at SummerSlam. I can see it, but like I said earlier, is someone turning babyface? It's kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure what their idea is, what their plan is. But I would be fine with that. That sounds like a good match. Central Man Network also said, do you think missed opportunity? They missed the opportunity to do a match between Roxanne and Bayley. Yes, but they could always go back to it. I don't know why they even bother having them feud. It's not even as if they had them tease a feud. They were literally fucking feuding. From January into the Rumble match, coming out of the Rumble match, they were feuding on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And in NXT, at Vengeance Day, they were involved in a four-way together. And they were also in the Chamber match together. And then Roxanne disappeared from the main roster until after Mania, and they haven't gone back to it since. What was even the point of having them tease a feud? They were not going to have a match at that point. Not even tease a feud. They were literally feuding. Does not make any sense. But they can always go back to it, though. John said, well, Shawn Michaels is a different style of booking, obviously. No, I agree. Because he can watch/book two angles at once without turning his head.
Oh my God.
Lazy eye joke there from John Rellan. He got you in the first half again.
Okay, as someone with a lazy eye, that was funny.
Grunt said...
The more I think about it, that was really funny. Like, he's like a human fucking chameleon. Like,
you could do both at the same time.
That's... What the fuck?
I love how he just says it so nonchalantly, too. Like, no LOL at the end. He just says it like as if it's a fact. You know
it would be
I mean?
even funnier if it was LOL. Like, it's like, LOL. Like, what?
Grunt said, you see the AEW news today, Grim? All Out Toronto, baby. Yes, I did see that on September 20th. I guess they're moving out of Chicago, and I guess they're moving out of Labor Day weekend for All Out, which is fine by me. If All In or Forbidden Door or whatever it is this year is going to be later, as late as it is in late August, it doesn't make any sense to follow that up immediately with All Out a week or two later, which is what they did a few years ago. It was stupid. Even last year, it was a 2-week build in between pay-per-views, which was very dumb. Very stupid. But yes, I did see that. Very cool. Hope you get to go to the show. I know you'll enjoy that, Grunt. Emmanuel said, since Fortnite has been referenced, have y'all heard of Fortnite adding Darth Vader with an AI voice?
Yes, I saw
not
that.
only have I heard of it, well, I have seen some of the videos. And it is very funny. So, yes. But then I also saw that I think the government, SAG-AFTRA was actually suing Fortnite for stealing Darth Vader's AI voice, even though they got permission from the family to do it in his estate. So I don't really know how they're suing or how that's even possible, but yeah, I saw the update on that. I don't think it's going to take Vader out of the game and make them stop doing. They'll probably work something out, but it's not an entirely great situation from what I understand. Richie said, Shinsuke in 2025 is cooked. Noob said, Anarchy in the Arena is the biggest headache in wrestling. Don't get me started on the music playing in the background the last two Anarchy in the Arena matches.
Oh my God, no, that's literally like, it literally almost gave me an anxiety attack. Just like having it on at the same time. It was way too much.
Chris W. saying, Alexis back on camera, yay. Chris is a big Alexis fan. Yes, Alexis is back here today. Unannounced return of the show. Here in the penultimate episode before episode 600 next week.
For
So, yes.
anyone that didn't hear the beginning,
Alexis, yes, I know. You work. She's working from home.
No, wait.
We already told it. They could just go back. We don't have to repeat it. They go back and listen to it.
I just want to say one thing.
What? I already said it.
My birthday's tomorrow.
Oh yes, her birthday is tomorrow. Which you can also go back and hear if you listen to the show from the beginning. But yes. So wish Alexis a happy birthday. Her birthday is indeed tomorrow. Wrestling Fan 13 said Zoe's injury from last night looked gruesome. She can't seem to catch a break. Well, she did. That's why we're in the situation.
Her leg broke.
I said that, not him, but that's bad. I'm sorry. But he also said if she tore her MCL, then sadly she'll be out for the rest of the year, if not longer. Wishing her a speedy recovery. I would be shocked if she was back anywhere before the end of the year. I mean, that break was disgusting. Usually if you have a break like that, you're not back anytime soon. In AEW, I think that happened with Dante Martin, right, a few years ago, and he was gone for a while. I mean, anytime that's happened to anyone from what I've seen, from what I understand, they were out for the rest of the year. How could they not be? Grunt said, I mean, Nakamura was the one who debuted the current IC belt, so there's that. I mean, I hate the new belt. I think I like the older belt, the one that I have a replica of, but, you know, the new belt's not terrible. JCW555 saying, hey, Graham / Alexis / everyone. JC Dub, hope you're doing well, brother. Thanks for chatting in, as always. Great to see you in the chat. Fernando said, Triple H should book an invasion angle of the NXT women's roster invading the main roster. I think that would be lots of fun. I mean, they kind of did with Roxanne and Julia. I feel like we've seen that a lot. I mean, we saw the 4 horsewomen on the main roster while they were still in NXT. I mean, what's the end game there? NXT beating the main roster? I mean, I don't know. I'm not really sure what the point of that would be. We see that a lot anyway. They do so many... It's not even an invasion, to be honest with you, because we see people go back and forth between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT all the time. There really is no such thing as an invasion anymore. No longer is this like the nexus of 2010. Like, everything is... There are no such barriers where the brand split even matters at this point, so it's not really much of an invasion. And Rhea Ripley would probably beat them anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Richie says, I would love to support Cross, but his merch is ugly as hell. I'm happy that he's finally gaining some traction, though. He has so much potential, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would buy a shirt if it was cool enough. I haven't really looked at his shirts, but I don't know. If he designs the shirts, I don't think so. It's probably WWE. Their designs are definitely questionable. Let's put it that way. But there are some good ones out there. Let's see. Backtracking a little bit here. I promise we'll go back to the scheduled questions in a little bit. A lot of people chatting, and great to see you guys in the chat. Whether you were here earlier, here now, coming in later, speaking for the future, I guess. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Great to have so many of you here in the chat. But I will say this. If you're here now, thank you. But second of all, come back next week, around the same time next week, around noon Eastern time. It is episode 600 of the show. And what I've done in the past was go live to make the show special. For episode 500, episode 400, episode 300, episode 200, we're all live. The problem is, we're live every week now, so it's really not all that special. So I might try some sort of call-in situation. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll have a special guest, not named Alexis. We will see. We'll figure it out. So be sure to stay tuned for episode 600 here on the show next week. Around the same time, noon Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, p.m. on Tuesday. 600 coming up, baby. The Wrestling Fan said Karrion Kross's documentary that he put out after WrestleMania is definitely worth the watch for anyone who hasn't seen it. I co-sign that. I agree. We did watch it a few weeks ago. It was a very well-produced documentary. And then WWE capitalized it, honestly, by not putting him on the show. Fernando said LA Knight was always going to have a ceiling to his success. Yes and no. What is that? Anyone has a ceiling. I mean, what is the ceiling that you speak of? Because to me, LA Knight could be a world champion. Yeah, like R-Truth, there's a ceiling there because he's a comedy character. I know he's facing John Cena, the current WWE champion, on Saturday night's main event, but it's not for the belt. And even if it was, he wasn't fucking winning. Like, R-Truth should not be world champion, even if he was, for an extended period of time. LA Knight can be. He's good enough to be at that level. So I don't know if you're saying he's like a mid-card guy at best. There are people that I look at as being mid-card performers. Dominic Mysterio, I could see being a world champion at some point. But I don't look at him as being a perennial main event player. I look at him currently, and this could change, as a mid-card guy. There's a lot of people that will only ever be mid-card guys. LA Knight has a higher ceiling than that, in my opinion. Emmanuel said Karrion Kross might have LA Knight's luck, where Triple H is just going to wait until his current booking ideas are done before pushing new people. Maybe. If he keeps being undeniable long enough, hopefully they come around and push him. That's all you can really hope for at this point. Wrestling Fan said, hey Graham, have you seen the report from PW Insider that WWE is finally getting in line to launch NXT Europe later this year? So I did see that. I commented on that on Twitter before I went live here. I don't really understand that, to be honest with you. I know that Triple H has always envisioned the whole NXT around the world thing. I mean, AAA, they kind of basically look at this point as NXT Mexico is basically what it is. The NXT Europe thing I don't really understand for a couple of reasons. One, when it was rumored years ago, that was when they closed NXT UK. They closed NXT UK to make way for NXT Europe. That was 3 fucking years ago. What people also forget is, even NXT UK at the end was a dead brand. When they closed it, it was actually a welcome change so they could allow a lot of those people to be on NXT or on the main roster. And now they are. There's a lot of people that were on NXT UK from the beginning or even at the end that are currently now on the main roster and should have been on the main roster a lot earlier than they were. Tyler Bate comes to mind. Pete Dunne was already on the main roster, but you get my point. But another issue is that the NXT, or rather the UK indie scene, is not nearly as hot as it was when they first initially created NXT UK back in 2017, 2018. When they were doing it back then, the UK indie scene was white hot, and it made sense to do NXT UK. And it was a great show there for a few years. But then COVID happened, among other things, the speaking out stuff, among other things. And that completely killed any momentum the brand had. When it came back, it was good, but it wasn't quite the same. And it was just a dead brand at that point. So launching it now, what talent would they even use for it? Anyone they had in NXT UK, they fired or called up. They're not going to be put in NXT UK Europe at this point. The current UK indie scene has a lot of great people, but it's just not popular enough, to, in my opinion, from what I understand, to justify devoting its own brand to. They don't have the network anymore. Like, they have Evolve now, but it's on Tubi. I don't watch that. I don't know. Not a big fan. It's too little too late with NXT Europe. They can try. I just don't see it being a success. If they really gave a fuck about it, they would have done it 3 years ago when they first initially reported doing it. Dillon said, what are your thoughts on Will Ospreay's comments talking trash about WWE? A couple things. One, that's his opinion. Two, he works for AEW, so he's not going to say anything bashing his own company. Although he kind of inadvertently did when he said, oh yeah, we don't have the biggest houses. We don't have the highest ratings. We don't make the most money off of X, Y, and Z, but we do have the best wrestling. He kind of shit on himself and shit on the company when he said that, because it's saying all these things that AEW doesn't have. That's kind of why they're not higher on the totem pole than they are. And at least they have good wrestling, though. But anyway, it's not like he's out there tweeting about AEW saying fuck WWE. First of all, he didn't say fuck WWE. Second of all, he's being asked about these things. Blame the people asking him the question. He's being asked these questions in interviews because people think it creates headlines for that podcast or that website or that radio show. That's why people do it. And then he's just answering honestly. So when he says, oh yeah, no one on the WWE roster can hold the candle to anyone on the AEW roster, that is just a ridiculous thing to say. In certain aspects, that might be true. But overall, that's just egregiously false to say that no one on the WWE roster is either on his level or the level of other people in AEW. That's just not true. But I understand why he would say that, and it's because he's being asked questions about it, and that's why he's answering the way that he is. So it doesn't bother me. It also creates more tribalism too, because people lap this shit up. Whether you're pro AEW, pro WWE, they just lap that because they love the tribalism. People that engage in that love the whole, my company's better than yours because I watch it. If you don't like the company I watch and enjoy, if you have anything negative to say about it, then fuck you. It's basically that mindset, which is just so garbage.
Will Ospreay also has like a history of talking shit about the other company. Like, he's done that a couple times.
But Triple H did it too. Triple H said, oh yeah, if you don't want to come to WWE because we have more dates, then you're not about that grind, brah. Like, whatever the fuck he said. Like, that was also stupid. So it goes both ways.
Right.
Ahmed says, sup guys? Ahmed, what's going on, brother? Thank you for joining. It was great to see you. Grunt, good question here. Keep, change, ditch. The Casino Gauntlet, the Casino Battle Royal, and the Casino Ladder Match. Um, the casino, which is the one they introduced last year? Is that the Casino Gauntlet, right? The Casino Battle Royal was the one they were doing in Double or Nothing for a few years, where they would have people come out in groups of 5 and shit. The Casino Ladder Match, what was that? Was that just... Would it start out as a one-on-one match, and then they would introduce people? Or was it just... I think the Casino Ladder Match was just a regular ladder match. I would get rid of that. Ditch that shit. Of the other ones, I would keep the Gauntlet. I think the Gauntlet match that they were doing, or maybe... I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. The Gauntlet match, whatever they introduced last year was a great gimmick where the people would just keep coming out until the match ended. I kind of like that. It does become a little unrealistic because you could have like fucking 20 people in the ring at any given time, which they haven't gotten to that point yet. I would probably change the Battle Royal because they were doing groups of 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and then like the Joker. Maybe instead of having like 21 people in there, it could be like 15 or 20. I don't know. That's a good concept, but I would probably keep the Gauntlet, change the Battle Royal, get rid of the ladder match. What is your favorite NXT Johnny Gargano match? Him and Adam Cole from TakeOver New York. Do you have one or no?
Is that the 2 out of 3 falls match?
No, that was the one that we saw the second time in Connecticut. The first one they had a regular match. They had a rematch in Hartford or Bridgeport that was, I think, a 2 out of 3 falls match. And then they had the 3 stages of hell match.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah, I like that one.
Which we did not see in person. That was the third match they had.
That one stands out to me the most. I like that one, and I also like the cinematic match he did with Ciampa when they were like going all the way up to the top of like this warehouse or something. Mm-hmm. Those two, yeah, I like those.
Also, the Andrade match from TakeOver Philly, I was there for that too, so that would also be on my list. Ahmed said my prediction for 2025: Drew McIntyre will beat Cody for the Undisputed Championship when Cody gets the title back from Cena. It's time for WWE to reward him after his great work last year. At this point, I'm not sure if I see that happening, but I would like to see it. Drew beating Cody for the WWE title. I think we might get that as a non-title feud before we get it for the championship. Cody losing the belt to Mania wasn't on my bingo card until Cena turned heel, and then it was. But yeah, I would like to see it. Johnny asked, are you two excited for Evolution 2? Yes, I am. I'm excited for it. You're excited for it too.
If it's confirmed.
They haven't confirmed it if it happens.
Absolutely.
What I'm not excited about it was that it was initially rumored for Connecticut in early July. And that would have been our anniversary weekend. Mm-hmm. But then they fucking moved it out of there because they didn't book the arena in time and they missed the date. That is the company's fault. So now it's going to be in Atlanta, and shout out to our Atlanta folks. I have a couple friends there. Fine place. I've never visited beyond just driving through. Great for them. I'm fucking pissed because we almost had it here in Connecticut, and then they fucking dropped the ball. So I was pissed about that. Ahmed said, especially in his feud with CM Punk. Oh, talking about the great work that Drew did, he's saying. Wrestling Fan said, honestly, I prefer the JC Mateo name over Jeff Cobb, though I wish he kept his singlet attire. Instead of wrestling in a black tank top and pants, his singlet made him stand out. Now he looks generic. I would take that with a grain of salt. He wrestled this week in that because it was an impromptu match that was not official. Nick Aldis just said, get in the ring and wrestle. So why would he have, in kayfabe, why would he have his gear on if he wasn't scheduled to wrestle? We've seen that before, I get it. But it kind of makes more sense for him to have wrestled in his street clothes because, he was at ringside. He wasn't in storyline meant to wrestle that night. So he could bring back the singlet. He might ditch it. I'm not sure what their plan is for his gear. Maybe he doesn't have gear made yet because all of his other gear has Jeff Cobb written on it. I don't know. All of his other gear had sponsorships on it, so he might need new gear, to be honest with you. Now that I think about it, that could have been the reason. But we'll see. I like the singlet too. Grunt said, is there a wrestling move that has fallen out of fashion that you miss seeing? I personally miss seeing choke slams. That was like the go-to move in the late 90s and 2000s, but now we hardly see it. I feel like we see it often enough where I don't really miss it. I miss seeing certain moves be more special, like the Canadian Destroyer and cutters and super kicks, but that shit's like thrown out like candy at this point. So no, I don't really think there's a move I miss seeing. If anything, you should be happy that they don't overuse it and abuse it, so it means more when people do hit it. But it's not really a finisher at this point. It was for Kane, but not really so much in 2025 for anyone else. John said Sinners is my number 2 movie of 2025. Minecraft is number 1. I'm kidding. He did not say that. He said Warfare is my number 1 choice.
Stop.
I don't know what Warfare is, but yeah, Sinners being your number 2 doesn't surprise me. I heard it was good. Johnny said, are there any movies you gave 6 stars? No, because I'm not Dave Meltzer. It's either 5 or below. There's nothing I would give 6 stars to because we don't start breaking the fucking scale here. Any 6 stars movies to you?
No, not that I can think of.
Fernando said Sinners is really good. I saw it when it first came out. Oh, cool. Glad you enjoyed it. John said, Alexis, to be fair, I don't trust my own movie takes sometimes. Some that I've given 4 or 5 stars to were based on the entertainment aspect alone, but I do get what you're saying.
Yeah, like, come on. Be honest with yourself. Real honesty.
Hey.
I mean, listen, don't think that I haven't looked at the ratio of your half-star to 5-star movies, and you're at way above half-star movies than you are at 5-star, and it's climbing up pretty quickly.
Because he watches bad movies on purpose, to be fair. He
Yes.
does. I will defend John in that respect.
Yes, but there's a couple that I've seen there that he gave half a star that I was, you know what, personally offended by. I won't lie.
Well, this one makes sense why I understand why he'd say this, but he said Zendaya should have been nominated for an Oscar for Challengers. Because everyone else feels that way, so that's not like a bold opinion. I personally, and you personally, also did not like that movie.
I really did not like that movie, but I will say she is very talented, and she deserved that Emmy Award for Euphoria.
Fernando said The Weeknd should never do a movie ever again. Amen to that. Johnny said, I'm surprised Triple H and Shawn Michaels don't bring back the World War III Battle Royal from WCW. I don't remember exactly what that was. I know loosely what you're talking about, but it sounds like a shit show, and it's probably for the best they don't do it. We were lucky they even brought War Games to the main roster, to be fair. That could have not happened at one point. So we're lucky with that. Richie says, Tongaloa needs to win Money in the Bank. Amen to that as well. I agree. And then Tama Tonga returns, and we get Tama Tonga versus Tongaloa at Mania once in a lifetime. Richie, don't give them ideas. They're going to make them too much money. That sounds like a Mania main event for the ages. Maria says, why do some talent like AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes get to keep their names and others don't? Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Because sometimes some of these people, I've heard of agreements, specifically in recent years, where like Ethan Page, he signed over the rights to his name, but only as long as he's in the company. So like they own it while he's there, but he gets to keep it when he leaves. Samoa Joe may have done the same thing. Some people, they just want to outright own the name. Honestly, I am convinced they only changed Jeff Cobb's name because they thought Jeff Cobb was a stupid name. And I honestly get it. He's established with that name, but it's not like he was established like an AJ Styles or a Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes does not get to keep his name. That was actually WWE's name, and he lost that name when he left. So that's not a good example. They let him use that name in AEW towards the end. And then with AJ Styles, he was just AJ Styles everywhere. He was a much bigger name than Jeff Cobb ever was and never will be. So it makes sense why they would let him keep that. But with Jeff Cobb, they honestly might have thought the name was stupid. And they were just like, yeah, JC Mateo's better. Let's go with that. John said, also, you have to imagine this. Imagine if his name in real life and on the indies was JC Mateo. And then he goes to WWE and they give him the name Jeff Cobb. I mean, think about that for a second. You don't think that's an issue now because we know that's his real name. But if you really sit back and think about it, you would think, that's a pretty dumb name change. JC Mateo might arguably be better. We're just mad at the name change, or some people are annoyed at it because that's what we know him as, is Jeff Cobb. So I get it. John also said, I also have a bit of a lazy eye, so it's fair game. Fernando said, what are your thoughts on the GCW and Sabu last match controversy? I did hear about that. It's a fucking mess. That's not what killed him, to be fair, but like the way they worded it and doing the interview about it. I mean, they did the interview before he died, but the whole controversy was a mess. Hopefully that gets smoothed over. Joey Janela did not come out of that looking great. GCW didn't come out of it looking great. Sabu not so much as well. So, yeah, that was a bit of a mess. Richie said Sabu had no business being in a ring at that age. That was so foolish. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's partially his fault too. Ahmed says Lilo and Stitch movie comes out this Friday. You don't have to remind me. I'm going to fucking be there. Watching it day one if I can. So we will be seeing it. Then everyone proceeded to say, happy birthday from Maria. Happy birthday from Richie. He's asking me to sing her happy birthday. I'm not going to sing it right now. I think it would be awkward if I sing a happy birthday without you guys singing it with me. But just know that it's implied. I'll be doing it tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm turning 26 tomorrow.
Happy birthday from Fernando. WrestleRap, Richie said. Sing happy birthday, WrestleRap. No.
Yes.
Johnny said happy birthday. Richie said happy birthday, Queen. Daniel said I gotta back up. Daniel said happy birthday. And Emmanuel said Feliz cumpleaños. John Ritland said then very happy birthday to you, Alexis, just in case I'm not online much tomorrow. There you go.
Thank you.
Let's see. I hope they don't release Zoe next year for being injury prone, Fernando says. At this point, with the cuts they're making, you can never be too sure. Johnny says, I'm just curious to see what Sabu did with his money. I mean, he had no money. I mean, that's clearly why he was fucking in GCW. He was probably buying painkillers and stuff like that, to be honest with you. Will Alexis be back for episode 600, Johnny says. TBD, we shall see. If not in person, she might be chatting on in over, StreamYard, Zoom, whatever. I don't know. But maybe. Not confirmed that she'll be here in person. Maria says, do you think Double or Nothing is going to be a good show? Yeah, I mean, they're always a good show. The build has sucked, but I do think it'll be a good show. They usually are. R-Truth won the NWA title twice in TNA. Yes, he did. But that was as Ron Killings, not as this goofy comedy character, R-Truth. Fernando said, I meant a mid-card ceiling. I don't think Triple H believes LA Knight as a main eventer. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. If he stays at this level for the rest of the year, then you're right. But there's a chance that he could elevate him, because now that he's done everything that he can do as a main eventer. I mean, he did main event a fucking world title pay-per-view with Roman Reigns. He lost, but he was involved in the main event. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see if he actually believes in him as a main eventer or not. And if he fits into his current plans. 850 Big Boy said, I feel like Monday Night Raw's women's division roster badly needs a big main event heel, because that's what hurts Rhea's title reign recently, and could end up hurting Io's reign as well. I agree with that. Rio and Io are great as baby faces. Rhea and Io, rather. They shouldn't turn them, but they do need a top heel for that division. Liv is great, but Liv's already been in that role. Roxanne just debuted. Julia would have been my pick, but they sent her to SmackDown. So I guess we'll see what they have in mind. But you do make a good point, though. Fernando said, I understand what Will Ospreay meant, and I agree with him. Johnny said, ROH Europe, ROH Asia, ROH Australia, ROH Africa, and ROH Latin America coming soon. Wrestling Fan said, hey, Graham, do you think TNA will be placed on a better TV deal or streaming platform eventually? I don't think so. I think it would be cool. I would be down for that, because TNA has momentum right now, and I enjoy TNA. They have some buzz, but they're owned by they're owned by Access, so they're always going to be on Access TV. I think it would be great if they ended up on a bigger network like a Spike, like 10, 15 years ago. Because that would give them more exposure. But I think the safe bet is that they'll always stay on Access as long as they own the company, because that's the channel that they own. So they don't really have to pay them a lot of money to be on the network, right? I don't know, because they already own it. Maria says, did you watch and enjoy Andor?
Yes.
Yes, we did. We have watched the first 9 episodes. There's 3 more to watch. We watched the 9th one last night. We will finish it this coming week, I'm sure. Andor is excellent. Probably the best Star Wars show they've ever produced. And that includes Kenobi, Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, all of them. Aside from maybe the animated shows. But Andor is excellent. Would very, very much recommend watching it, including episode 8 specifically. One of the best episodes of Star Wars media probably ever produced, in my opinion. Johnny said Damian Priest finisher is a modified chokeslam. Yeah, you're right. I guess it is. Yoi Spangucci. I don't know.
Yo-Yo.
Yo-Yo?
Hey. Yo-Yo Spangucci.
That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
All right. He is here saying, hi, guys. What's going on, brother? Thank you for joining us. Always great to see you. Daniel Malcolm said, we need infamous Tongaloa back yesterday. I agree, Daniel. Acknowledge our king, Tongaloa. John Ritland says, Triple H and Sean's booking for 3-ring World War III Battle Royal. Sean, you watch rings 1 and 3. I'll keep my eye on 2. Because Sean's going to watch 2 rings. John's coming with the bands today. He's coming in with the jokes. He's coming in hot.
So his eyes are out like this?
Yes.
Oh my god. That's so like... If I think about that too much, my eye's also going to go out.
I'm gonna wrap up these live chat questions in a moment, then we'll go to the scheduled questions. We'll go back to those and then back to the chat, and we'll wind down. I say soon after that. We've already been on here for well over an hour and a half. It's been almost 2 hours, actually, because there's so much activity in the chat. So great to see you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for watching live or after the fact or earlier on. You guys are awesome. This has been a lot of fun. But anyway, Johnny asked, better second tenure in WWE, Cody Rhodes or Drew McIntyre? Great question. I'm going Cody. Drew kind of got fucked by the pandemic, but Cody's been a bigger star. I mean, Drew's been amazing. Drew's done amazing work in the last 7 years. But Cody, well, first of all, Drew's been back now for 8 years. Cody's only been back for 3. But Cody already has been a bigger star and has main evented more Manias than Drew has done in 8 years. So, Drew's awesome. That is a toss-up. But Cody in 3 years, and maybe we'll have a different opinion in a few years after he's been back for 8 years. Maybe he's, unbearable and they haven't turned him heel yet. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go Cody Rhodes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Daniel says, weird they called him Jeff Cobb of the PLE only to change it unless they weren't supposed to say Jeff Cobb of the PLE. I don't know, because they called him Jeff Cobb on social media too, so it's not like they weren't acknowledging that his name was Jeff Cobb. It is weird. It's fine if they want to call him JC Mateo, but they should have introduced that as Solo saying, I'm going to call you JC Mateo now. Like, they just introduced him as JC Mateo. I think it would have been worse, honestly, if they called him JC Mateo at the pay-per-view, because then it's assuming, oh, that's JC Mateo. How the fuck would the commentators know that? Like, we all know him as Jeff Cobb. You know what I mean? If they said his new name is JC Mateo, like Ricky Starks, like he introduced himself as Ricky Saints in that promo a few months ago. It's not like when he showed up, they're like, oh, that's Ricky Saints. Like, okay, that's not what he fucking was to everyone else. They're much more open now to acknowledging where people came from. And they said with Jeff Cobb, he came from New Japan. He came from Lucha Underground, which I popped for when they said that. He wasn't Jeff Cobb in Lucha, but you understand my point. I think it makes sense to call him Jeff Cobb initially, because that's what everyone knows him as. That's what not everyone watching the show, but anyone who does know who he is knows him as Jeff Cobb and then rename him. So I was okay with that. Yoey Spingucci, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know if you're trying to bait me into saying something there. You're talking about asking me what happened with the something storylines. No idea what you're talking about. You might be the new Tyreek. So I'm going to skip over that unless you give me more context. Daniel says, shame Zoe being carried to the back was probably the loudest reaction she's ever gotten. Daniel, that's ice cold. That is ice fucking cold, sir.
That's so mean. Oh my god.
That is very true, but that is ice fucking cold. Props to you, though. That is very funny. 850 Big Boy says, yeah, I know that Becky Lynch came back as a heel to kind of fill the void, but she's doing business with Lyra right now and maybe Bayley in the near future. Yeah, I agree. They have Becky, which is great, but they do need more heel women because Becky is busy for the time being. You're right. Daniel said, yo, y'all got Y's name right, I think, LOL. I think so as well. Specifically, Alexis. She's better with that stuff than I am. Johnny asked, what is your favorite animated superhero show? Oh, God, I have no idea. I didn't watch Batman. Does Clone Wars count? I mean, probably not.
No.
I don't know. I have no idea. Favorite animated show? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Static Shock was a great show on Cartoon Network once upon a time. Richie said, you can't sign off without us getting a Tyreek appearance first. If Alexis is here, he's not showing up. I think that's been well established.
No, he's scared. I don't know why.
I think Tyreek is her burner account because they're never in the same place at the same time. He did show up last week. And he goes, oh, you guys skipped over my question. We were all like, where? Tyreek where? Tyreek?
Is he like drunk whenever he's typing? I don't understand.
Tyreek, and if you're watching after the fact, first of all, I love you. Not we love you. I love you, okay?
Apparently I don't.
And second of all, you are, in the nicest way possible, our Tongaloa. We fucking love you. You're the Tongaloa. You're botching here, asking questions that don't make sense. We acknowledge you, Tyreek. John says, I got to bounce and take care of a few projects. I'll try to chime in next week, even while I'm working 9 hours. Well, first of all, John, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Second of all, best of luck next week with the 9-hour shift. And third of all, thank you for joining us. Always great to hear from you and see you here in the chat. Always appreciate your comments and opinions and movie takes and whatnot. I'll catch you on Letterboxd and on Twitter. I know we talk often there. But yeah, hope you can join us for episode 600 here on the channel next week. Grunt says, if Ospreay loses at Double or Nothing, What do you see him doing at All In? Because unlike Paige, I don't see an alternative path for him to go down if he doesn't fight Mox for the title. I have no idea. That's why I think he's winning. Paige winning would be cool, but I don't know what you do with Ospreay. You make a good point. I don't know. He's already feuded with MJF, so it wouldn't be MJF. He had a match with MJF at All In last year, so I don't know. I kind of fear what he would be doing at All In if it wasn't fighting for the world title. So I think Ospreay winning the Owen Hart Cup, the finals, is a slam dunk. Fernando said Naomi has stated that she wants to be a mom soon and will be retiring soon, so it's now or never to pull the trigger on her winning the Money in the Bank and cashing in on Tiffany to become women's champion. I agree. She might want to become a mom before next year's Money in the Bank. So, personally, she's my pick to win Money in the Bank. As far as who I want to see win, do I think she will win? I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't think so. You are right, though. If there was any year to have her win, it would be this year, because she's been around for 15 years as it is, and she might not be around much longer if she wants to go do other stuff. So I would capitalize on the momentum that she has right now, for sure. Grunt says, at least Paige can team up with Swerve to fight the Bucks. Yeah, talking about if Paige loses, that's probably what I see happening. Paige and Swerve versus the Bucks. Richie said the Bafuga storyline or whatever he said with Love Ziggler. Don't you remember? Of course. And then he put the Love Ziggler emojis in the chat. If you become a member, you can include the Love Ziggler emojis in the chat. So that much more of an incentive to become a member. Johnny said, John Moxley going to do a triple jump moonsault at Double or Nothing. Yeah, off a fucking airplane or something. Daniel says, Alexis is Tyreek, mind blown.
I'm not Tyreek. That would be funny. I'm not that smart to come up with that much in advance and think it would blow up to be something.
That's true.
Hey!
Richie says, Tyreek is my goat. Tyreek is all of our goats, Richie. Johnny, whose song do you think is going to be on repeat loop during Anarchy? God, I don't even want to think about that. Who's in the match? They haven't even confirmed who's in it. Death Riders music, probably. And I'm not a big fan of their music, so probably Death Riders. Let's see. Richie said, All-Star by Smash Mouth. I wish. I would watch Anarchy. I would watch the shit out of Anarchy in the arena if that was on a repeat during that match. Have you ever watched the New Jack match? Johnny said. I'm sure I have when I watched them old ECW shows. I'm not a big fan of the old ECW stuff. I think a lot of it is just garbage wrestling, literally and figuratively. It's just not my cup of tea. But I'm sure I have seen a New Jack match before. Couldn't name you what it was, but I'm sure I have. Wrestling fan said, hey, Graham, in your opinion, what is the most underrated Money in the Bank PLE? Great question. I know we've been watching for around the same period of time, so you can probably relate to whatever answer I give. Most underrated, well, we know the 2011 one is probably one of the greatest they've ever done, if not the greatest. It has to be. 2010 was okay. 2012 was solid. 2013 was great. The answer might be 2013 or 2016. 2014 and 2015 were fine. 2016 was great. That's where you had the multiple Shield cash-ins, a great men's Money in the Bank ladder match. There was some filler on that show from what I can recall, so maybe not 2016 entirely. But 2013 probably. 2013 had the two men's Money in the Bank ladder matches, and they were very, very good. You also on that show had Ziggler and Del Rio. Not Love Ziggler, but Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, he said mine would probably be 2013. I would probably agree. 2013 had Ziggler and Del Rio, John Cena, Mark Henry, that great main event Money in the Bank ladder match, that great opening Money in the Bank ladder match that Damian Sandow won. Right back in Chris Jericho, but we don't talk about that. I think overall probably Money in the Bank 2020 or 2013. If not that one, then maybe 2018 I was there for, 2019 I was there for. Those were two good shows. 2020 was COVID. Maybe 2021. 2021 was their first show back in the road. That was the show where John Cena returned, actually. He's returned to the last 3 Money in the Bank pay-per-views, actually.
He has? In a row?
Yeah, because he was in 2022. Was that the show? Wait, let me think. Maybe not 2022, actually. 2023, he was there to announce that, they're in London. We want WrestleMania in London. He made a special appearance on that show. And then 2024, he showed up to announce his retirement tour. So maybe not 2022. But the other ones he was there for that I mentioned.
2021 was the
when
one
he showed up at the end.
for Roman.
Roman, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably 2013. That might be my the most underrated one. Better tenure, Jade in AEW or Jade in WWE? Good question. Probably Jade in AEW so far, just because, I mean, she was booked like a monster. She only lost 2 matches, and she was presented as a bigger deal there. In WWE, she's just a bigger fish in a smaller pond. Not that she's a small fish. She's a big fish, but I mean, she had more, she was the TBS champion for like a fucking year and a half in AEW. So I got to go AEW. But WWE, she's had a decent run so far. She also missed some time with that injury or her being written off for an injury late last year. So I'd go AEW. Daniel also throwing the Love Ziggler pictures in the chat. All hail Love Ziggler. Wrestling Fan 13 said Money in the Bank 2013. I agree. Daniel said, you couldn't pay me enough to get in the ring with New Jack's crazy ass. Rip, though. Yeah, I agree. Me too.
Yeah.
Richie said, don't forget, 2013 had Curtis Axel versus The Miz. I forgot about that. I think I wanted to forget about that. Is 2013 where they did the double turn with Ziggler and Del Rio? No, that was Payback, the month prior, but they did do that. The rematch of Money in the Bank in 2013 were actually, that's where they did AJ Lee costing Ziggler the world title. The DQ was dumb, but AJ got a lot of heat for costing Ziggler the win, and then she officially turned on him the next night on Raw. So the double turn was actually the month prior, but that was a really well done heel turn as well, or double turn with those two. Fernando said, did you hear the rumor that Daniel Day-Lewis might play Magneto? I did hear that Daniel Day-Lewis was eyed for a role, I think in Spider-Man or X-Men. Spider-Man, the 4th movie. I don't know if it was to be Magneto. Maybe it was. Maybe that was the rumor. That would be cool. Daniel Day-Lewis is obviously a great actor, so that would be interesting. And Wrestling Fan 13 said, Jade's promos in AEW sounded more natural. You're right. They did. But she also had a manager there, too, in Stokely, although she didn't really need it. And I also didn't like her with, who was the other guy? The guy that's with the fucking Premier Athletes now. I forget his name, but I didn't like that pairing. But her with Stokely I liked.
Mark or something?
Yeah, Mark. Smart Mark Sterling. That's what it was. Yeah, you remember.
I have no idea how, because I don't watch AEW.
But you remember him, though. You just remember, you remember what his name was, and I watched all the shows. I'm cool. I don't watch AEW. Like, we know you don't watch the show. Yeah, exactly.
Stop making fun of me.
Your birthday's tomorrow. I can do whatever I want.
No.
Yes, because your birthday's tomorrow, so today I can do whatever I want.
Guys, what should Graham buy me for my birthday tomorrow?
Nothing. We're going to go back to the scheduled questions.
What snack should he get me?
No snacks. Nothing. A birthday cake, but that's about it. We'll see. Well, maybe we're gonna go see a movie later, so we'll see. We're gonna go see The Accountant. Maybe I'll get you popcorn or something. If you're good at it for the rest of the stream.
You sound like my mother.
I'm kidding. But then you also say, put it in the stupid pile, right?
Oh no.
Let's see here. Christopher L. from Facebook. He was joining us earlier. Chris W. He said, greetings, Graham. Hope you're doing well and had a fantastic weekend. Have you been enjoying Josh Alexander in AEW so far? I know he hasn't been there for too long, but he has received a lot of praise backstage for his work, and Tommy Dreamer has also given him praise for how he's adjusted to the roster so far, and how he's been able to hang with the top guys in the company for such a short time. What have been your thoughts so far on his run, and do you see him eventually breaking free of the Callis family to bring in singles gold? Yeah, he just joined the Don Callis family from the moment he debuted, so that's probably the most natural fit. I think he's done a great job so far. He's only been there for about a month, so it's still a little early to say. But I think he's a good fit in Don Callis' family. If he wasn't in the group, I would kind of be worried that he would get lost in the shuffle, because he's not going to be like a world champion there, I don't think. He wouldn't be a world champion in WWE either, most likely. But, yeah, I think putting him in a group to begin was a smart call. And hopefully from there he can kind of break away and do his own thing and, rack up some wins, maybe win a championship eventually. Yeah, or maybe you said to bring singles gold. Oh, no, yeah, you said what I thought you said. To break free of the group to win singles gold, not bring singles gold to the group. But yeah, I think he's been booked well so far. He lost his debut match. He may have lost a tag match after that where he got pinned. But for the most part, he's been doing well. I think he's a great fit for that group, and he's one of the more prominent members alongside Fletcher and Takeshita. He's a much bigger deal than Brian Cage or Lance Archer, Trent Beretta, Mark Fletcher, Rocky Romero. He's a bigger deal than all those fucking enhancement guys. So, yeah, big fan of Josh Alexander. I think he's been a good fit for AEW so far. His second question, Jeff Cobb has joined the Bloodline, or knockoff Bloodline, Timu Bloodline, under a new name, JC Mateo, which I think is a very boring generic name. I mean, to be fair, Jeff Cobb's not that much better. But he said, while it's great to see a gifted pro wrestler like Cobb on national TV, I feel like they've already made a couple of mistakes with him. The first is his attire. As I stated last week, Meltzer made the comment that wrestlers need to dress in a way to make them stand out. So I don't see what wearing all black does for him when every heel wears all black. It's a comical cliche at this point in terms of character work for the company. Another thing is, why the hell is Cobb in the Bloodline when, one, he's in no way related to any members of the NOI family, unlike Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and two, he's not even Samoan. He's Filipino. Yes, he's from Hawaii, but I find it laughable that he's, just because of that fact, that justifies him, this position in this group. A group that shouldn't even still be around. Does Jeff Cobb, who is not Samoan, of not Samoan heritage, make any sense being in the new Bloodline? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense it doesn't make sense because he's not Samoan. And no, it not that it doesn't make sense or whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. It's not the Bloodline. It's not the Bloodline. They're not calling it the Bloodline anymore. And they're not just bringing in family. He could just be bringing in a heavy to help him, help Jacob Fatu hold on to the United States Championship. That could be all that it is. We have no idea. They didn't really explain that on SmackDown. They should have. They just said his new name, which was good. They did not explain why he was brought in. Obviously to help Fatu hold on to the United States Championship. But they did not say, he goes all the way back with our family. He's a family friend. If they said that, that would have been dumb. Like, just because he looks Samoan won't bring him in and put him a part of this group. Maybe they had other plans for him aside from being a part of, the Jeff Cobb or being a part of the Jacob Fatu Solo Sikoa storyline. I don't know. But then when Tama Tonga went down with an injury, they were like, fuck, we need him in this role because we need him to tell this story. I'm not sure what the idea behind it was. But I do think he's a good fit for them. It gets him on TV right away. He bypasses NXT, which he probably should. He's already over 40 anyway. As far as the attire thing, I mentioned this earlier, that was an impromptu match. If he starts wearing that every match, then I'll kind of raise concerns. But for now, I'm okay with it because I think that was just an impromptu match, and that's why he wore street clothes during that match last week on SmackDown. So the fact he's on SmackDown in a somewhat prominent role as part of a story that they're clearly telling right now with Solo and Fatu, I'm totally fine with it because it gets him on the show and puts him on a show, gets him in a story on the show, other than just being introduced as an enhancement talent or an afterthought on Raw or a SmackDown or even NXT. Any thoughts on Jeff Cobb and the Timu Bloodline?
I'm interested to see where it goes. I like Jeff Cobb. I'm a little bummed out they changed his name, but I mean, when you first mentioned the name change to me, I honestly like the name. I don't mind the name. I think it sounds unique enough, and it has enough of a ring. We'll have to see where it goes. So I'm cautiously optimistic. It is, for now, it is a little bit of a cop-out that they just put him with the, Samoan people. But again, we'll have to see where it goes. We have no idea what they're going to do, really. He, just got here.
Mm-hmm. He also asks, what do you think the legacy of John Bradshaw Layfield is? Honestly, probably as someone who had one of the greatest reinventions of all time. I mean, he went from a glorified tag team guy with the APA and the Acolyte to a WWE champion of almost a year. And he held the United States Championship. He was the Intercontinental Champion. He was tag team champion, obviously. But, he's most known for that year-long run that he had on SmackDown, beating Eddie Guerrero, beating The Undertaker, beating Big Show, beating, all these other people, Booker T, to retain that title before finally losing it to John Cena at Mania 21. So that's probably his legacy, to be honest with you. He didn't really have a whole lot of success beyond the SmackDown title run. He retired from the ring about a year later, and then he came back, and he was only around for about a year before he retired again. There's really not a whole lot to go off of, but he went literally from someone that was a tag team guy before Mania 20 to the top heel on the show, and got great heat for it, mind you, within a matter of months. One of the fastest rises of all time, and he worked in that role. It wasn't a gender situation where he went from, jobber duty to main eventer, and it sucked. The JBL stuff, I mean, he was booked like a weak champion. He won a lot of matches by DQ or lost a lot of matches by DQ, but it was a hell of a lot better and a lot more entertaining than Jinder Mahal. I'll tell you that much. His next question: who do you prefer as the better overall pro wrestler slash WWE superstar, Jey Uso or Sami Zayn? Both are super over. Both are great as heels and baby faces, and both have decorated careers. But if I were to pick the one that I prefer more, I would go with Sami. Jay is mega over, but Sami is the more dynamic character, the better promo, doesn't completely rely on a catchphrase, has depth as a character, and can have quality matches with just about anyone. He especially had the better WrestleMania match with Gunther, with a better build and storytelling. I like Jay a lot, but in terms of wrestling, I just find him more of a catchphrase and an entrance. Do I make fair points, and which of the two do you prefer? Not only do you make fair points, Chris, I mean, I'm not even sure how this is a question. Sami Zayn is a much better performer overall than Jey Uso by like 100 times over. Like, it's not even close. I think Jey is great. I think Jey in the ring is limited. I think his promos are limited. But he's great in that he has a great connection with the crowd. He can have good enough matches and good enough promos. But on the mic, Sami is 10 times better. In the ring, Sami's 1,000 times better. They both work as faces and heels. Jay's had a slightly better connection with the crowd, but really by not that much. I mean, Sami, when he was doing the Bloodline thing, he's still over now, obviously, but when he was doing the Bloodline thing and he went into Elimination Chamber as the #1 contender against Roman Reigns, his connection with the crowd was unparalleled. The reaction, and not even in his hometown, when he hit Roman across the back with that chair back in 2023 at the Rumble, we were there for it. That reaction was unreal when he betrayed Roman and then went back to being a babyface. And then when he won the titles, the tag titles in the main event of Mania, actually from Jay at Mania 39. So the answer is easily Sami Zayn. Jay has his strengths. He's a fine main event attraction, which we've talked about before. I have no issue with the push whatsoever. And I'm glad he finally won something of value, because Jay had to be elevated eventually. He couldn't just keep being over and then not win something of value for more than a few months. Thankfully, I mean, actually, I was going to say his Intercontinental Championship reign was shorter than his world title reign, but that's actually not true. He has yet to hold the world title longer than he held the IC title. He's got to hold it. If he loses the belt this weekend to Logan Paul, his reign as world champion will be shorter than the one as IC champion, and that one was short. But the answer is easily Sami Zayn. Anything to add on to this?
No, I agree. I love Sami Zayn right now. Like what they did with him at the Raw after Mania, like how he's kind of teasing like turning heel. I really hope they go through with that, and that wasn't all for nothing, because I love that stuff.
I wish they wouldn't.
Okay.
I don't think they need to.
What,
I would not do that.
You wouldn't turn heel? No, not anytime soon, but I think that's one of the things that you could play the long game with a little bit. Like right now, I think what they're doing with him is perfectly fine. But, you know, however many months down the road, you do that, and that was just like a little flash in the pan as to, or like foreshadowing. I think that's genius if they do it. I don't think they will anytime soon, but if they do that,
all black, so we'll see. Could be a subtle tease as to where they're going with it. At Uwagu91 from Twitter, happy May 19th. This was from yesterday when he sent it in. Better make sure that Kane did not hear. Kane, the May 19th joke, I get it. Very funny. Anyway, lately, I've been thinking, this is a question basically for you.
Ooh.
I've been thinking, I mean, it's for me, but you can answer it first. I've been thinking lately that Beth Phoenix should have vied for the women's world title during Rhea Ripley's first title reign. This stems from the women of Beth's time having their matches shortened. What are your thoughts?
There are so many times when Beth Phoenix could have come out. She did like once, maybe twice, I think. And, you know, face off with Rhea. Rhea literally emulates her character and her presence after Beth Phoenix. She's like a huge fan of Beth Phoenix. And I love the two of them because they go against any like conventional form of what you think of when you think of like a female wrestler, especially back then. There are so many times when they could have done that and they just didn't, whether it was like a contract issue or it was like just life getting in the way of things or injuries or whatever. I completely agree. I don't know what specific scenarios at this point because I just don't remember. I feel like it's been so long. But yeah, I completely agree. I think it would have been like, it would have been revolutionary. It would have been so good.
They did have that tag team match in Elimination Chamber. That was before she won the belt at Mania the following month or so. And my justification for why they would go back to it was that Beth beat Rhea. She may have even pinned her, but I'm pretty sure Edge pinned Balor. She pinned her. She beat her in that tag match, and that was one of the few matches Rhea Ripley lost during that period. She did not suffer losses very often. She even today does not suffer losses very often. It would have made sense for her to come out and get an opportunity against Rhea, probably at SummerSlam, but they didn't do it. They never did it, and Beth was under contract at that point. I don't think she's under contract now. Her husband left anyway. The window closed. It's not going to happen. And Beth proved anytime she did wrestle, including at Elimination Chamber that one time, that she can go. And they just never did it. So yeah, I would have wanted to see that as well. That could have been her swan song in the ring. I mean, I think her final match as it stands was that mixed tag team match in Elimination Chamber, which isn't a bad way to go. Teaming with your husband in the country where he's from, against Rhea Ripley, a dream opponent for Rhea and for Beth, respectively. So not a bad way to go out with a win, no less. But it would have been nice if she put over Rhea on the way out and lost to her properly, and we could have seen what kind of match they could have in 2023. But it's not happening now. A few questions from @Uagu and Millennial Noob. Your thoughts on Julia joining the SmackDown brand? We already answered this earlier, but fan of it. We'll see where it goes. I could see her as Women's United States Champion, hopefully soon. I don't think you need to rush her into the WWE Women's Championship picture. Tiffany and Julia sounds awesome, but you don't really need to rush into that. I think you can take your time with that. Do it down the road. I'd rather see Naomi take the belt off of Tiffany, just because Naomi doesn't have a whole lot of time left. And I'd rather see them capitalize on her as a heel and her momentum and shit. And then I would, pivot from there and put the belt on Julia down the road. No need to rush Julia into that spot. But I do like her on SmackDown. I wish Raw had her so she could feud with Rhea Ripley outside of the title picture or feud with Io Sky for the championship in the picture. But it's fine. Maybe Roxanne can soon occupy that spot. Their third question, have you noticed Finn Balor and Roxanne Perez interacting backstage in the background lately? Does this mean she'll join the Judgment Day? Funny you sent that question in because you sent that in before Raw yesterday, and you were right. They acknowledged it on Raw later in the night, and Roxanne is now officially an ally of the Judgment Day, according to Finn. Not officially, but according to Finn she is, and she's not a full-fledged member of the group. They are teasing something there, whether it be with Liv and Roxanne or Roxanne and Finn versus Liv Morgan and Dom. There's a few different directions they can go in there. And I'm excited to see what they do. So, like I said before, I like the idea because it's all heels, which I don't love. But what I do like about it is that it gives Roxanne direction right out of the gate. And we'll see what she does with it. So, no, she's not officially in Judgment Day, but I'm glad they planted those little crumbs, those little breadcrumbs of why is Finn talking to Roxanne backstage. We've seen shit like that before and it's amounted to nothing. But in those cases, it actually did lead to something, which is cool. And last question @millennial_noob, who was here earlier. They said, what are your thoughts on the Natty Neidhart and Kenzie Page's match at the Crockett Cup, the NWA pay-per-view from this past week, or their event, rather? And which NWA wrestler will be under WWE's radar? I have not seen the match. I assume they will hopefully air the match on Power at some point in the next couple of weeks. Not tonight. They kind of stretch out the matches and air them on Power over the course of a month from each event that they do. They don't do the live pay-per-views anymore for NWA. When I watch the match, I'll let you know. I have seen nothing about it aside from the pictures, and I also know that Natty did not win, obviously. Otherwise, she would have been on Raw last night as the NWA Women's World Champion, which would have been cool. As far as wrestlers on WWE's radar that could be on their radar from NWA, the only name that stands out to mind, I mean, if this were 2019, I would say Nick Aldis, Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston, but all of those guys have since been signed either by WWE or AEW. The one name that really stands out to me now, as far as someone that could be on WWE's radar, aside from Natalia Markova, who I know you're a big fan of. You've asked a lot of questions about her before. She's talented. I'm surprised WWE hasn't tried to get her into the company. Is Carson Drake. He's, the last time I checked, the men's TV champion. He's actually exceeded expectations to me. I thought he was like a jobber type guy, like a mid-card, full of himself type heel, which WWE has a lot of, and they probably don't need him anytime soon. But the guy can talk. He's a solid wrestler, but the guy can talk. I think there's something there with him. I could see him as part of the WWE ID program or on Evolve or even on NXT at some point. So I would probably say those people are on WWE's radar or should be on WWE's radar from the NWA. So that does it for all the scheduled questions. We got to wind down here in the next few minutes, but we will finish off with the chat. I'll see what you guys are saying in the chat as we Wind down here. Let's see. Dillon said nothing as far as what you should get for your birthday. Nothing. That might include food as well.
Boo.
Chocolate birthday cake, Johnny says. You're not a big chocolate birthday cake fan. I'm not a big chocolate birthday cake fan personally. I'm more of like a light chocolate or coffee flavored or cookies and cream, mousse. I think just straight up chocolate birthday cake at this point just destroys my stomach. And it's not like a getting older thing. That's been the case for at least a decade, 10, 15 years. So chocolate birthday cake I would not turn down though. Richie says, LOL Dillon. And then Dillon also said, he doesn't owe you jack. The amount of mania that you go to because of Graham, LMAO.
Someone's jealous.
To that I say, Dillon, no lies detected. Richie says, Graham needs to buy Alexis a replica statue of Tyreek. I agree with that. Johnny said seafood dinner date. We're not seafood people, but sushi maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Although we have a sushi gift card that we have not used yet. I mean, it's hers technically, but as far as that stuff goes, what hers is mine. Let's be honest here. Everything that's mine is hers, but everything that's hers is not mine, except for that. I will stand on business there.
Oh, stop. Please.
Yoey Spengucci said what you just said. If you're good for the rest of the stream, like she's your child.
Yeah, seriously.
She's been good. I can't lie. I rib. Richie says, love Ziggler merch. That's a good gift.
We do have a design.
It's already it's already been made. She already created the design. I just have to put it up. It's just been very hectic the last couple of weeks, months, whatever. It will be up. It is coming soon. He also said, Ryback's feed me more supplements. That's a good gift. Also, the best of the Death Riders on DVD. 3-disc set of their their best matches. I'm sorry. Johnny said the Don Callis family should have been in Anarchy in the Arena instead of Death Riders. Well, Anarchy in the Arena is usually the top storyline, and Death Riders are the top storyline, so that's why they're getting it. And John Moxley, I'm sure, loves being a part of the match. Johnny also said Adam Cole has been forgotten since he has been TNT champion. I legitimately forgot he was even champion, and he won the belt a month ago.
Wait, what?
He's TNT champion.
Huh.
I told you that when You don't even watch the shows. How the fuck would you even know? You knew that he was champion. I told you this a month ago when it happened. When I was watching Dynasty right next to you. Anyway, I would create a faction and name it Waterline. I run on Duncan. She runs on Duncan. She has. Did you see the Duncan Cup?
Yeah, I'm having Duncan right now. I was just at Duncan actually this morning.
She got me a donut there from the other day. Is this true, the Duncan thing? I don't run on Duncan. I like Duncan more than Starbucks. I'm not a Starbucks guy personally. That's just me.
He doesn't even drink coffee.
No, I eat coffee ice cream, but that's as close as it
He likes coffee flavored things.
I like the mocha fraps from McDonald's. Did you see they have like a cookie one now, or cookies and cream one? I forgot. I should have gotten that one. I got the mocha frap a few weeks ago when we hung out.
They have an Oreo one. Is that what you're talking
maybe
about?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I should have gotten that one of these days. Wrestling Fan 13 said, while Gabe Kidd appears to be a lock for AEW, do you think he'd be a better fit in AEW or WWE? Definitely AEW. I think he'd do well in WWE if they booked him properly, but already he's adapting fairly well to AEW. And his style of talking shit and swearing all the time, that ain't gonna fly in WWE. So definitely better fit for AEW. Although I do think he's great regardless, from what I've seen. Fernando said, if you were tasked to book a hypothetical WWE versus AEW supercard, what would be the top 3 main matches you would book? That's such a loaded question I'm not going to do right now because I have no idea off the top of my head. But if you just put the top stars against the top stars, I mean, what would that even look like? Will Ospreay and Seth Rollins, I feel like writes itself. Roman Reigns or Kenny Omega versus Rollins and Ospreay versus Roman. You know what? Actually, Omega versus Punk. Given the all-in shit itself. Not the Bucks. The Bucks will refuse to do it. But Omega Punk, they're both, past their prime physically. But I think that would still be a great match. Omega versus... Hold on. I think the stream disconnected. Hopefully it reconnected. All right. I think we should be good. For some reason, I think it disconnected. Okay. If the stream interrupted, I apologize. But it said it disconnected. The third match... MJF and... Cody Rhodes. MJF and Cody Rhodes, which we've seen before, but not in this current iteration of either guy. Those would be my top 3 main events. Long live the cabinet, Yoey Spengucci says. The cabinet of, JBL's world title run? Yes. Eddie and JBL were two of the best wrestlers to have one world title reign, Johnny says. You might be right on that. Richie says, hey, relax on the gender slander. I talked to him last year in the elevator. I remember you told me about that. During Mania 40 weekend, he was a nice guy. He had a Tupperware of chicken, asparagus, and rice with him. He deserved to win championship gold. He eats well, I'll say that much. I've met Jinder too. He's a nice guy. Wouldn't, my fucking neighbor's a nice guy too. Doesn't mean I would pay him to see win a world championship, but, nice guys don't always win world titles. Johnny said, how about Cody and Orton winning the tag titles for Legacy? As Legacy? I could see that. Would be cool. Let's see. And Ted DiBiase can be their manager. In parentheses, Richie says, from his jail cell. That's fucking funny.
Damn.
Fernando said, Logan, praying that Logan doesn't win at Saturday night's main event. I don't think he will, so keep that prayer circle coming, but I don't think it's happening, thankfully. Richie said, didn't Beth want that dream match with Rhea? Shame we never got that. She probably did. WWE just never did it. You can blame Triple H for that.
Rhea wanted that too.
Rhea's been wanting that for 5 years, if not longer. Daniel says, the pivot. Richie says, smacks forearm. Long live the pivot and fuck Dwayne Johnson. Wrestling Fan 13 says, how long does a match have to go in order to be considered a squash match? Is it any match under 5 minutes? No, a 5-minute match doesn't have to be a squash match. I've seen very competitive squash matches. I mean, Brock and Goldberg in Mania 33 is a 4-minute match. That's not a squash, though, because it's competitive. So it depends on how it's booked, how much offense the wrestler gets, if it's a majority of the offense. Under 5 minutes is not necessarily a squash. I'd probably say 3 or under. It depends how competitive it is, too. If someone's just dominating someone for 5 minutes, I mean, let's be fair. John Cena getting squashed by Brock Lesnar was a squash match of SummerSlam 2014. That match was 15 minutes, but that was a squash match. So it's not really about the timing of the match. It's more about how much offense the wrestler in control gets and how much, how little offense the other, the opponent gets. Let's see. Johnny says Natty did win against the Rude fan. Yeah, I saw that. Fernando said, are you watching the Daphne Dark Side of the Ring tonight? And what did you think of the Original Sheik episode? The Original Sheik episode was good. I reviewed it here for the channel the other day. We are all caught up in the show. We've watched every episode this season and just in general. I think the Billy Jack Haynes one was better. That one was fucking crazy. That was a wild episode. I enjoyed that one more. But the Original Sheik one I learned a lot about. That one was interesting. Am I watching the Daphne Dark Side of the Ring tonight? No, we don't watch it live. We watch it after the fact. I'll probably watch it tomorrow. We'll probably watch it at some point tomorrow. And the review will be up on the channel this weekend. Johnny said steakhouse dinner date. That's a no-can-do, brother. She doesn't eat steak. But they do have stuff at steakhouses that she could probably eat, so not a bad idea. Daniel said love Ziggler merch. No, that is a thing. That is a real thing. We are making it soon. We've already made it. It's going up soon, though. Love Ziggler merch for Alexis, Richie says. Fernando said, I'm looking forward to the Love Ziggler merch. I will totally purchase several. Thank you, Fernando. Well, you appreciate that. Please do. That would be awesome. I will put up, as soon as the Love Ziggler merch goes live here on the channel and on Pro Wrestling Tees or whatever, I will let you guys know, and you can hopefully buy one. Fernando says, McDonald's coffee is underrated. I like the Mocha Frap, so I would say so. Johnny says, MJF versus Roman, Swerve versus Seth, and Will versus Cody. All great matches. I wouldn't complain about any of those combinations. Daniel says, buying all versions of the Love Ziggler merch. Long sleeve, short sleeve, tank, Love Ziggler shirt for every weather. Daniel, you're on the right fucking shit with that. You're on point. You are number one Love Ziggler fan. You got to show your support for Love Ziggler. And for Tyreek. Tyreek gets no royalties, but it was Tyreek's idea. I say rip Tyreek because we haven't seen him in like a week, but Tyreek is around somewhere. He's always around. He's always watching, whether you know it or not. We all love Ziggler, and we all love Tyreek. Johnny said Tony versus Rhea. Oh, that would be a great one, too. Monet versus Jade. That would be good. And Chris Statlander versus Charlotte. Another good match. Richie said, don't hinder Jinder. Daniel said, yeah, WWE hindered Jinder twice. They probably hindered him a lot longer than that. Or by what? By firing? Is that what you mean, Daniel? You're probably not wrong there. Daniel said, why is Cena versus Truth not for the title? It's probably not for the title because from a storyline standpoint, they might think it's ridiculous. I mean, they've done this before, so it's not that ridiculous. But, like, that Truth has done nothing to earn an opportunity at the top title. He hasn't won a fucking match on his own in ages. So, that's probably why it's not for the championship. But, I wish it was for the belt just to give Cena another title defense. But it's also a TV match. If it was a pay-per-view main event non-title, that would be a problem. But it's not even on pay-per-view. Maybe Truth wins by count-out at whatever it's called, that Saturday night's main event. I saw it. I'll go back. Maybe he'll win by count-out and set up a championship match in Money in the Bank for the belt. Now, that's possible. He'd have to beat Cena to earn an opportunity in one way or another. Richie says, Jinder should be the face of the company right now along with Tongaloa. No to the first part, yes to the second part. Johnny said Samoa Joe versus Jacob, Jamie versus Bailey, Kyle Fletcher versus Dirty Dom. More solid matches. Daniel said Tyreek is definitely here. Graham, right next to you. Duh. LOL. You're right. That's what you're backing to my theory. Alexis is Tyreek.
No, I'm not Tyreek.
So it's Tyreek's birthday tomorrow too.
Oh my God, could you imagine if we had the same birthday?
Maria says Tyreek is always lurking somewhere. For sure. Richie said John Cena is R-Truth's childhood hero. That should be enough to give him a title shot. John Cena is a terrible person. I agree. John Cena should have given him a title shot for that alone, for all the support since his childhood. And last comment here, Wrestling Fan 13 said Indy Hartwell has been killing it since being released from WWE. What do you guys think of her post-WWE run so far and her awesome downstate theme? I don't know if I've heard her downstate theme, but I think she's only been in TNA for a couple of weeks, but I think she's the perfect fit for the Knockouts division. Always been a big Indy Hartwell fan. I mean, that's been well established. I go way back with her, since even before she got into wrestling. Great person, great performer. Glad to see her getting a chance. She's doing well in Hog right now, House of Glory. Great to see her win gold over there. And, I think she's the perfect fit for TNA. So I got to watch more of her matches. I haven't kept up with all the matches, but I have seen the championships that she's won, and she's won a whole lot of them. So all the best to Indy. She's great. And Daniel said, happy birthday to the GOAT Tyreek. Richie said, happy birthday to the face of WrestleRant, Tyreek. And then he said, and Alexis. He said the first one in caps. The second one was not. And Yoey Spengucci said, happy birthday, Tyreek.
Oh my God.
So off the rails. We're going to end it on that, folks. Got to take off here in a moment. But this has been great. Thank you all so much for joining us here on this special 599th episode of #AskGSM featuring, not so special guest. She's here more often than not. Alexis. Appreciate her being here and answering all the questions. It was just, didn't expect her to be on the show, so it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. But I think we ended up having a pretty decent show. A lot of activity in the chat. Appreciate everyone who is here. We have a lot of people in the chat either now or before compared to what we usually do. So it's been awesome. Thank you so much for that. It is Alexis's birthday, so one more time, be sure to wish her a happy birthday on the way out here today. And that's really about it. Be sure to consider signing up for a channel membership. More information down below. WrestleRant $5 all access pass gets you shout outs at the beginning and end of every single stream that we do here on the channel, including the birthday girl herself, Alexis Miss Maud Matthews, Dillon DiGiacomo, who was here earlier, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve 1, Daniel Malcolm, RJ Marceau, John Rillen, Real Honesty with John Rillen here on YouTube, Richie, who is here as well, here now, Red Planet Wrestling here on YouTube, and Average Grunt, who was also here earlier at the Average Grunt. You can get a badge next to your name like they do. You can use the Love Ziggler chats, the emojis, and the badges, whatever the fuck it's called. Pictures in the live chat if you're a channel member. And so much more. Shout-outs, like I said, badges and emojis, early and ad-free access to certain videos, and a whole lot more if you consider signing up for a WrestleRant all-access pass, $5 a month. But at the very least, be sure to like the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Also hit the bell button to be notified every single time a new video goes up and every single time we go live here on the channel. Don't think I'll be live tomorrow for #GSM for GM. That will probably be a pre-tape video, but we will be live again for sure on Thursday for WrestleRant Radio. We're going to be breaking down all the latest rumors and reports and reviews in the world of wrestling, and also previewing NXT Battleground, Saturday night's main event, and AEW Double or Nothing for this weekend. A lot of wrestling going on this weekend, and we'll be previewing and predicting all of it on WrestleRant Radio this Thursday. If you want to send in a question to this show for next week's 600th episode, I'm trying to do something special for the show. We'll see if we can work something out. It might be just a regular old episode. We'll see what we do. 600 next week. Join us around noon Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, maybe even before that. We'll see. If you want to send in a question for the 600th episode, let's get the biggest mailbag in a while, if not of all time. Send in your questions starting now to my Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Facebook is both facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Drop a comment on the post I usually put up on Monday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. That's going to do it, folks. Have an awesome one. Thank you so much, as always, for checking out the show. I'll read through the chat one more time before we head on out of here. The face of WrestleRant, Daniel laughed at that. JK, we stand Alexis, Richie said. Maria said, I think Truth is going to get a surprise victory over Cena because he took him too lightly and will get a title shot. I could see it. We'll see. I could see, like, Truth winning by countout or some shit. Daniel said, not Tyreek usurping Alexis's birthday, LMAO. It is pretty funny how that works out.
He said surprising, I think.
No, he said, not Tyreek usurping Alexis's birthday. Usurping is a word, like overshadowing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never heard that word.
More you know. Maria said, great show. Thank you, Maria. Richie said, W stream, W chat, happy birthday, Alexis. Maria said, happy birthday. Fernando said, happy birthday. We got some Love Ziggler badges in the chat. Some Veer. Veer is always coming.
Woo!
Emojis in the chat. Fire stream as usual. Thank you. No, thank you, Fernando. We appreciate that. And Richie says, later, y'all. Later, y'all, indeed. Have an awesome one, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. Have an awesome rest of your week. Happy birthday to Alexis once again. And we'll catch your ass down the road.